Welcome to the Young and Pruitt podcast. This and every episode of the Young and Pruitt podcast is brought to you by youngandpruitt.com. If you're listening to this podcast now on youngandpruitt.com, you can go over to iTunes and we're over there. If you do us all a big favor and go ahead and hit us a review, that would really help us out. What that does is that allows other people to see it. It comes up in the searches a lot better. So, this week, this is a podcast that I've been really looking forward to. We have Mr. Zach Hayes back on, and we have the current P1 in the episode listens, I guess you would say.
Yeah,
plays,
downloads, man.
Downloads. Mr. Tim Petchek.
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
When we were all standing around the R&D car while Timmy's cleaning up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Back at Petty's.
Yeah, because Tim was really the only one that worked there.
Yeah, you know,
I was never a part of that. The first time I met Pruitt, he had I think we had sort of met each other, but then when we got to be buddies was when he had the exhaust leak.
The what?
It sounded like a tractor.
The old Civic, it had right at 200,000 at that time, and I guess it's got a resonator from the factory, and it broke off right at the resonator after I was coming back from lunch. And everybody's out in the parking lot who's this fucking loser with the exhaust pipe hanging off? I'm like, yeah, who is that guy? 15 steps to the outside of the regular shop area. I walk back to Hayes. I'm like, hey man, what's up? Help. Hopped right on it, man. Been buddies since.
But if you ever see Pruitt, he's cool, so you're automatic. You don't even have to ask. Same thing with Zach. You don't have to ask. Those guys, when you walk up and meet them, it's like, oh, they're cool. Petchek, same thing. Just cool people. Very rarely do you get this many cool people in this small of an area.
Very high concentration.
Yeah, I know. I need to get a bigger table. Yeah, I first found out about David when I heard your Tahoe go by. And it was
I forgot about the drag Tahoe.
Yeah, that thing was nasty.
Well, it's not every day the carpet walker, who's in the slacks and the shoes and the button up shirt rolls by with the.
What was all done to that thing?
So that generation Tahoe, and I think you probably experienced a little bit of this with your truck. They tore up bearings, they tore up the lifters because of that displacement on demand. So you'll have lifter failure, just sudden, and it just dies. So my option at the time was get a new long block from GM, which was going to be $7,000. So I said, no, I'll just hot rod it. So, valves, valve springs, complete top end rebuild, custom ground cam, custom tune from Tick Performance up in Mount Airy. It was cool.
What did it turn? Horsepower wise, did you think? I mean, you never dyno.
More than enough for a Tahoe.
Yeah.
More than enough for a Tahoe. Yeah.
Take little Billy to the soccer game. Going to be good.
What was your best kill? How about that?
I took down a SRT8 Jeep. So, it definitely had some stones to it. Now, it wasn't like Flamer's SRT8 with the big Magasin bolted to the top.
Yeah. Well, his almost pulls a wheelie off the line.
Yeah. That thing's sick.
We used to have a 91, my sister, my dad, of course, my sister drove a 91 Dodge Stealth, which it was, the Mitsubishi deal. And it was Indy 500 inaugural pace car. And it was a twin turbo. Mm-hmm. Little V6.
Yeah.
4-wheel drive.
Yeah, the RTTT.
Oh, you could flip the switch and the thing would sort of sink down and get the steering wheel would get I don't know if it's really the suspension as much as it was the steering wheel would really tighten up, almost like it changed ratios. And man, we were flying, it had a third gear, the transfer case in it had a chain in the third gear that just couldn't handle it. It was beefy. In third gear, right there where it's supposed to be, it was. I was, after looking at it when they pulled it apart, I was like, yeah, this thing's way too small. So we're going down the road, me and a buddy of mine, actually my buddy Derek, the guy that owns that killer truck.
Yeah.
The Cody build, and we're running down the road, and we're flying maybe 100-ish, 520 maybe. And next thing you know, one of those Interceptor Fords. Is that what? It was
Crown Vic.
It was a Crown. It was a Crown Vic. It was previous, right before they came out with the Impalas.
Yeah,
dude, this thing yarded. Dude, I don't know what had been done to him because those things were fast out of the gate. But this guy had obviously gone the extra mile because it sounded like Dale Earnhardt went by you at Talladega. It's just like, we didn't even bother hitting the throttle, that kind of deal. And I was like, that was my first real, I've been around regular street cars, but that thing went by us like we were stopped. And you couldn't get the stealth mode up because it had small brake, for that kind of car, you'd burn the brake pads right off of it, or they'd just heat right up and you couldn't stop. It'd take you a quarter mile to stop it.
That was a cool era for cars in general. Because you were kind of
that Viper.
The Viper was coming out. The LS1 was.
This is when the Viper, the Viper was going to be the pace car to the Indy 500, and then Tony George found out that the car wasn't actually manufactured in the United States. And the Dodge Stealth, even though it was a Mitsubishi, was actually built in a plant somewhere in the United States. And they were like, you can't run that as a base car.
The Viper wasn't made in the United States?
Not the original one. I think the original one was actually made in Japan.
What?
You'll have to look at it. Okay, it's fine. And of course,
you guys keep talking. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, look, it was a 1991 Indy 500, I think. Was the year there was a big argument about it. But it was, how that goes. I'm sure those guys...
Yeah, the Supra coming out that year, the RX-7.
Hey, do you remember the Conquest?
The NSX.
You remember this Conquest?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. They were nasty. It's one of the fastest little cars around.
The Eclipse.
The Eclipse, because there was a Conquest...
So that was like the first, and then that was the first DSM, the Daimler Star Motors, and then it went to the Eclipse, the Talon, and then the Plymouth. What was that?
The early Talons were pretty bad. Do you remember? Yeah. Those were bad.
You could get them in all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive with that 4-liter or the 4-cylinder turbo 2-liter. Things were nasty.
That was ahead of the game, because that's really what you've got now.
Right.
Turboed out, small, high RPM race rockets. That's my feet squeaking,
right.
Sorry.
From Wikipedia, the first prototype was tested in January 1989. It debuted in 1991 with 2 pre-production models as the pace car for the Indianapolis 500 when Dodge was forced to substitute it in place of the Japanese-built Dodge Stealth because of complaints from the United Auto Workers, and went on sale January 1992 as the RT10 Roadster.
So so what I'm saying is, I guess what I was trying to say, and I just said it totally opposite. The Stealth was a Mitsubishi, basically.
Yes.
With Dodge badges. And the Viper was actually American made.
Yeah, it was.
I had my story. Okay.
Yeah, that was the...
But that's typical. I mean,
GT VR4.
Yeah, but that's totally... I mean, for me, that's a true story. If Zach Hayes is telling a story, that's the rules.
Yeah. Hey, you were...
pretty damn close.
Yeah, we were pretty damn close.
And plus, I don't know the first thing about lifters and all that. None of that. Did you know that?
What do you mean?
I know nothing about
Motors?
The motor side of it at all. Nothing. I can change oil. I can build a Briggs & Stratton go-kart motor really damn good. I can build one that I would race. But as far as real style, you're looking at me. That's awful. The look I'm getting from Pruitt right now. It's just like I'm just a little upset. We'll talk about this later.
We will talk.
I wasn't allowed to touch that stuff. I vapor locked a Camaro and it pretty much ended its life, and I couldn't figure it out. And nobody at the shop they were just like, "Nope, you can't drive it until you figure it out." And ultimately, it was tinfoil around the fix was tinfoil around the line, the main fuel line. Say what you want.
Oh man, this is awesome.
I had an '88 Ford Ranger with a 351. That was my second car. My first car was a Bronco. That was a piece of shit.
My first car was a 1990 Chevy Lumina. It was supposed to be white, but it was a very nice oxidation brown.
Yeah,
it had some rough life.
My first real car was like a 1977 Chevy Silverado that my dad used to would take the gears to the gear shop and get them rebuilt, and didn't smell real good at all. Because they'd stack up 6 or 7 of them over there in the passenger side floor, and had the rubber, those big rubber floors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and they were always flexible. Never cracked.
What smelled worse, that or the van?
The van was pretty. The van just was, man. It had a boat. The van had a boat gas tank because the gas tank was in bad shape. So I just went and got like the kind with the bulb and the pump and just ratcheted it down to the back.
That's nuts. That's I could never.
My
do that.
brother, I know.
That is wanting to go somewhere pretty bad.
My brother.
Where there's a will, there's a way. There's no doubt about that.
Man, it was so. My other car was while I had the van was the last year they made this Civic with the VTEC and the real front upper and lowers, like the wishbone suspension, before they went to the strut up front, and the van was still way cooler, way cooler.
Oh, see,
the van was
like a 2000 Civic Si.
Yeah, and it was all black, and I was one of the first people I know of to put like a 19-inch rim and trim the rest of everything out, and then work I actually had the fenders were flared out from the sheet metal out about another 4 inches on each side with that much tire. Now it killed it. When it came to horsepower, it looked really cool. You know, those things didn't have that kind of power, and you put a big rim, just wrecks it.
Oh, yeah.
On those things, you're better off
Or
putting
when you
little.
turn the AC on.
Yeah, but anyways, you know, I lived in Banner Elk. I ran the dog mess out of that old car, but the van was way cooler. My brother jumped in it the first day I got it. And it was just like I say, boat. You know, it was bad, and the seat was a bucket, just a 5-gallon bucket. Because I didn't have a front seat for it yet. And my brother's like, man, I got to drive that thing. I was like, dude, it's a little sketchy. Sure enough, he hits the gas because it had a little bit of power. Inline 6, and the damn bucket fell back and folded up. And he goes pulling out into Highway 16 right in traffic, sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
Cussing me. Oh, he turned back around. He was like, you're crazy. I was like, did they just drop it off of a trailer?
Zach Hayes
drive.
survived free range
But-
parenting.
Absolutely.
Very much
But
free range.
it's the ultimate skate shop mobile.
Yes, it was.
If you think about it.
It was. It was the best. It was one of the best cars ever.
If you were
Doug
to make a
Beatty has
movie-
it. Doug Beatty has it.
Does he really?
Yep.
Yeah. My first vehicle was a short wheelbase '67 Ford pickup with a 246 cylinder and 3 on the tree. And
With a short wheelbase.
a short wheelbase, you know, flat sides. It belonged to a older farmer, and I got that thing for $400, and that was my first ride.
Wow.
Whole shop truck.
Wish you still had it.
I do wish I still had it.
How long did you drive that bad boy?
I drove it for probably 4 years.
Okay.
You know, the 4 years I was in high school.
Yeah, that's something I'd want today.
Well, yeah,
To drive,
I'm actually pursuing one of those ones today, and I tell you something I was thinking about a few weeks ago was the vans in the 70s were really cool with the shag carpet in them and the side pipes and all that kind of stuff and the Krager mags and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should just bring that back.
That would fit the Timmy Petchek
that's a
minimalist
Timmy
lifestyle.
mobile
I mean,
for
that
sure.
is just, you know, it's like a vacation on
Yeah.
wheels.
I mean, bring it back, you know? I haven't seen one around, and, you know, I'm going to bring side pipes back one way or the other. Like, they're coming.
Yeah, I had the triple side pipes out of the van.
One way or the
When
other, the
302
side pipes
got
are
in
coming
it.
back.
I think we need to create a side performance exhaust business, Petchek Performance.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible for sure.
Well, I'll probably be fired soon. I'll come work for you guys. Like sweep floors. You know, somebody could start smoking so I can pick up cigarette butts like I used to. I was
Yeah,
good at
there
that.
you go.
It is that time of year.
Hey, Zach, go out in the parking lot and help that guy with his valve springs.
Yeah. Actually, my wife
What is
said,
that?
my wife, when she always gives me a hard time because the very first time she ever, you know, really hung out and we were sort of like a thing, she goes driving by the snowboard shop and I was out there and I was, happened to have grabbed the paper off the ground and I'd already gotten a cup of coffee and, you know, I had pulled the paper or the plastic bag off of the paper and I was going to go take it in the shop just like you did every time. And, she just happened to be driving by with my sister and was like, "Oh my God, look, he's drinking coffee and reading the paper. You know, this guy's really not a loser as much as they probably looked, you know, at the time." And she's like, "Oh, he's really got his stuff together. It's just sort of the other part's an act." And actually, I was outside picking cigarette butts up, you know, because my boss was like, first thing in the morning, was like, "Man, you know, everybody smoked back then." So he's like, "Go pick up all those cigarette butts." And I was like, "Yeah, actually, I was not reading the paper. I was taking in the boss." and trying to get some coffee to stay warm because I was going to be picking up cigarettes for the next hour.
There you go.
You got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
You got to start somewhere. You can't start
Nobody
on the
is
top.
above picking up cigarette butts.
No.
I don't care who you
No.
are.
When I worked at Childress, Linda would come down there, and I'm telling you what, let us, and we, there was Paul, all those guys smoke cigarettes, and they'd all just flip them out the door. They'd be smoking in the shop sometimes and just flip them out the door. And there'd just be tons of them on the ground. And she came down and saw one day, and everybody in the whole 300 people just digging as hard as they can to get these cigarette butts up before she sees one more. She was no cigarette butts.
I love that.
Oh, yeah, it's a great idea. Everybody watched it.
Cleanliness, man, it's important.
Absolutely.
David finally brought me the coconut chips that we talked about me trying on the show. So
They melt in your mouth, not in your hand.
you know,
All natural,
All natural, baby.
no GMOs.
No,
I read an article about GMOs saying that they think that it actually makes it into your genetics. The fact that it is GMO, not really, not if there's anything bad to it, but they do definitely know that it can actually goes that far down the rabbit's hole, I guess you could say.
I wonder if I'm allergic to coconuts.
Have you ever eaten coconut before?
I've drank coconut water and nothing happened.
Yeah, that coconut water's that all ground up. Are you allergic to nuts?
No.
Like walnuts? My wife's allergic to walnuts, and then my son's allergic to peanuts.
They taste way better than they smell.
yeah,
They smell awful.
they're pretty good on the taste department. It's nice help.
Anybody else?
I'll take one.
Pass them around. They're made by what?
What are they called? Dang.
Dang. Now, this same company also makes onion chips, which I'm on the hard fuck no on the onion chips.
Right?
Like a Funyun?
No, like this, but just onions.
That's opposite of any kind of hell. Funyuns. Isn't that just a bugle but round? A round bugle.
Did you get you one? That's got to be keto.
Yeah, you're good. There's I eat raw coconut, dude. If I eat coconut, I eat it raw.
Oh.
I can appreciate that.
So you like actually buy them and crack them open and...
I have before and shredded them.
Trader Joe's has some good raw coconut stuff.
And the thing of it is once you cook food, you kill it. So you pretty much, the nutrient value is gone, I feel like. So I try to eat as raw as I can.
Yeah.
Regularly, raw kale, raw broccoli, raw cauliflower. They're pretty much three of the best superfoods you could
Taking
ever eat.
animals down in the field full sprint. Just ram. That's probably the best way.
So maybe we talk about Timmy's minimalism journey. That's a pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're willing to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress. It's something that I wish I'd have learned about sooner, and I would have already be there. But
Less is more.
that's what I feel like. Less is more. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you get
Yeah,
eat?
try not to chew into the mic so you won't get driven crazy.
All good. They're good.
Dang. There's the story. There's the brand story.
I've got to eat all I can tomorrow morning. I've got to get a tooth removed and then a crown rebuilt. Where the crown came out, the second bite smashed both front and rears behind the crown. Didn't actually hurt the crown at all. It totally sucks.
Where were you eating? Cotton candy?
I said, yeah, I was just eating a ham sandwich. He was like, Zach, and he's the dentist. We know I own a boat of his that I paid for because I have real bad teeth. Or it's taken a lot to keep them like this.
It took a second.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I think you said that wrong.
Whatever.
He owns a boat that you paid for.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
But I bought him the boat. Technically, that's the way I look
yeah,
at it.
yeah.
If you're looking at it on my side of the fence, it's like I bought the boat. So, anyways, he's like he's old Navy dentist. He's really good. He's one of the best. I think Dr. Crawford, one of the best dentists around over there in Cornelius. And he goes, really? He was like, I've been a dentist for so long. He's like, I've seen 38 of y'all this week. Was it Laffy Taffy or was it an hour later? I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
It was an hour later. It was a pink an hour later. And he was like, yeah, it's Halloween. He said that's what he does. He says he makes a good bit of money from old people pulling out crowns by robbing their kids' candy. Of course, he's like, you're a little too round to be eating any of that stuff, dude, really.
Yeah.
So, there you have it. Okay. Timmy is a minimalist, and it's awesome. It's a super awesome concept if you think about it. if you're willing to not be now, because Americans, we've talked about this before. We're the worst. We got garage fulls of shit. We got we make sure we buy our houses with extra closets so we can store more of our shit.
But you never have enough house.
Right?
Well, not me, but
No, I'm talking about in general. That's how Walmart stays in business.
So what's your ideal house size, Tim?
1,500 square foot or less. Because I want to be outside anyway, so I'd much rather have, a nice fire pit with Adirondack chairs and a pool, and so I'd say house just big enough to cook your food, wash your laundry, and sleep. That's about it. And then have something else everywhere else.
You think you're damn good. Okay, sorry.
You're good.
I'm done.
I'm trying not to laugh.
I'm done with that.
He's got his face covered. He's over there.
Well, I'm getting stared at. I'm not used to this. And it's like the teacher's like, Zach, pay attention.
All right. So,
Okay, sorry.
what location would it be?
Waterfront, if you could do it. I'm a waterfront guy. I live on the waterfront now, Lake Norman. I love it. And, I've really become, over the last couple of years, really interested in what you can build out of shipping containers. And because I'm such a unconventional guy, I'm like, well, why am I not building my own place to live, and why am I not driving something I built? Now, I ride something I built, for most of the part anyway, with the Harley Chopper thing, but I'm working to get to that point where I can say that all this stuff's mine, I created it, and I don't owe nobody any money on it. That's one of my long-term goals.
There's a guy at the hunt club. He took one of those big crates and he made like a little lodge out of it so he can stay out there when he's hunting.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's got air conditioning, running water, heat, doors at both ends,
Yep.
no windows.
I'm totally into it. It's a great concept.
I love it.
There's
so many opportunities, whether it was disaster relief type pods or storm shelters, or there's all kind of interests I have to create just neat things for just to help people out.
Have you ever seen the ones where they stack them on top of each other?
Yeah, I don't. I'm not really interested in the stacking part, just because you need a crane and stuff like that to put them on top of each other. But the only limit is your imagination. If that's what you like and you want to stack them 2 or 3 tall and bridge them together, I mean, there's not really no right or wrong way to do it. It just, I think whatever that artistic picture is in your mind, that architectural picture that's in your mind, you can do it.
I think there's actually like a tiny house movement going on in Greensboro, where they're building an entire neighborhood with like a common like gardening area, and these houses are just tiny. I mean,
and that's my thing,
But it's so communal.
But it's communal,
Right?
And you can take up some of that vertical space and still have like a small square footage.
Communal
like a loft and
capitalism. There's going to be.
That's the next wave, man.
I guarantee
you're right.
it's the next wave,
That's the
because
next
you're going to
wave.
have to fight inflation going forward. That's going to be the key.
Well,
it's fighting inflation going forward.
I think what we're learning from what we're seeing, and I don't want to change the subject, but the reason communal capitalism is an idea is because 90% of Americans work their butts off, and they also see that it's never just you. As much as some people say, everybody's hard work gets them so far, but if everybody can sort of help each other out, and
That's how it was.
we're so down in our phones and are so singular. But the reality is sometimes, whether it's handing somebody a buck outside of whatever, just helping each other out a little bit. So people are getting better at being communal. It's not really communism, but it's but people enjoy. That's why people love to go get a cup of coffee in Davidson, because you sit there on Sunday morning and you people come in now and, hey, how's it going? And actually interact with other humans is almost like entertainment nowadays.
It's just
It's
like
the cycle.
Right.
It's just like when we went up to Blowing Rock, like that whole quaint, small little town.
Oh yeah.
Nestled away in the mountains. It's perfect.
It's one of my favorite places in the world.
Everything.
That and Banner Elk. Banner Elk is actually a couple steps above, just because it was a lot less commercial, but it's, I know what you're talking about. You get up there and it's like everybody's just there.
It's just slower.
Yeah.
Keep Banner Elk weird.
I've never seen
Banner
so
Elk's
many
weird.
people.
It is weird.
I've never seen so many people actually sitting on king benches.
Right.
I mean, they were all full.
Yeah. My kids looked at me like I was crazy. We went up to Blowing Rock. It was just a typical summer Blowing Rock day. The wind was blowing. The grass is as soft as carpet. And my kids looked at me. I pulled my flip-flops right off and, man, stick your feet right on the ground. And they're just like, they aren't used to that. And I was like, dude, your feet hadn't even touched the grass pretty much ever in your life. Are you crazy? I mean, that can't be healthy.
Right.
It cannot be healthy.
I feel like that's the buffer between the earth itself and us is that flesh grass.
Right. There's a great book that Bear Grylls book is, what's the name of, what's it called? Oh, Blood or Mud, Sweat, and Tears. And he said his mom had a copper rod that was on the edge of her garden. And he said every day she'd go out there and hang on to that copper rod and swore that it was good for her. And there's no, how that, but I mean, surely walking on there with your bare feet touching terra firma's got to be healthy.
Yeah,
it's got to be healing.
Grounding is what they're calling.
Is that? Oh, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, basically walking without shoes. So like mowing your grass or like doing yoga or doing just.
So basically, Petchek on the corner of every single unit you build, you're going to put a copper, rod in the ground 8 feet, so everybody can ground themselves and get all cool. Everything's going to be all right.
That might be good for ground yourself. Also,
that would be my luck. I would touch the damn rod out there and pow, out of a perfectly sunny day. And
Well, I mean, we touched on a good point there. When you get this communal effort going, and people are just finally tired of fighting, and they're finally tired of making a problem out of everything, everybody's going to live better. The bottom line, everybody's going to live better. But it's going to take the singular aspect is going to have to fail. And I think it's close to failing.
And I am so sick. Raise your hand if you're totally sick of everybody's opinion. Dude.
Everyone raise their hands.
God. I mean,
radio.
I know. Oh, that's right. Yeah. But anyways, we knew the answer. That was
We're
one
not
of
on
the, that
YouTube
was
Live
okay.
Yeah.
But, I was thinking about today, I was like, it's all negative. Any comment you make, no matter what it is, positive or negative, on any post of any kind, there's always that smartass you don't know that's got something different to say. And so then you're better off not to engage. So all these social media things, people are going to look at this 10 years from now as far as interactive social media, as far as you suck, you're cool, whatever type stuff. That's people are going to be like, man, people, what?
Yeah.
Well, there's a double-edged sword to that, right? So, number one, you've given stupid people with no intelligent perspective a global voice that can communicate how stupid they're. I mean,
flat Earth.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say. Flat Earth.
I'm not against or for any. I have my own personal beliefs, but like, if you can intelligently argue your point, it doesn't matter if I disagree with you because clearly you're passionate enough and you're into it and you can bring something to the table. So you're like, okay, like you can at least have a great conversation. You know what I mean? But like when you got these like Nimrods out here like misspelling every word or putting like
easy,
yeah, and then
I don't spell it all.
I synced it on TV.
I remember getting on the internet
so
again.
Fuck you. I'm like, okay, well,
right.
Well, that's the thing
Thank
too.
you.
Is what do you believe nowadays?
Right.
You can't believe anything.
You have to almost wait.
Absolutely.
The objectiveness.
You have to wait like a day or
so
two.
important.
And that's the kind of guy
Nobody's objective. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, I'm backing way off, and then we're gonna let this stuff hash out. Don't matter what it is. If it's a shooting, and then everybody starts blaming everybody, and then 3 or 4 days later, you find out the truth, and
at what
people
point,
have made their asses out of themselves.
Yes.
And
Patience is dead. I had a friend of mine who's
patience is a dying institution.
I have so many patients that people hate me over.
The most talented and smartest, best snow skier I know is a guy named Raglan Brewer. He's from Asheville, North Carolina. He designs all your modern Salomon shoes. He was the one that invented that look for Salomon. He works for Patagonia, Burton. He is one of the best shoe designers in the world, and he's self-taught. Genius. And he was coming up when he went to ASU, man, he was coming up with crazy stuff. Like he had these pair of cowboy boots in his little apartment that was just always something crazy going on in there. And my wife walks in, she was like, oh my God, those are the coolest looking cowboy boots ever. He's like, yeah, they're made out of tire tubes from mountain bikes. I was like, what? Because they were all sand. All the knobbies were sanded all the way down, and it had a texture, had a leather sole, the whole deal. And they were real cowboy boots. And I was like, all vulcanized somehow. Like, not just... And before, I already know how to build race cars. So this was the first guy I ever met that was like, the light went off. I was like, ooh, this guy's not normal at all. Because he can work with, anytime I have a question about any media that I'm not sure of, I call him, and then he starts talking about the design of toothbrushes. Well, I mean, just real deep, smart guy,
Well, and see, that's like me. I can get into a conversation about how toothbrushes are designed. Because I love toothbrushes and toothpaste.
I've always wanted these two to meet because those two, you'd never see them again. It would be like, they'd disappear in a black hole and be gone. And people like, oh, well, there was a time-space continuum right there.
That's right.
All the time, we didn't know it. But anyway, and I have no idea what I was even going to say about the whole thing before I started, so somebody go ahead. Typical Zach Case. ADD kicked in, sorry.
But I do think that we're in kind of like a infant stage when it comes to all of this.
Oh, he said he said patience is dead. Yeah. He said, if I can give you any advice, last time I talked to him, he said, if I can give you any advice whatsoever, he was like, try to be beyond patient with every single aspect of your life, whether it is any decision you make, always just be a tad patient on reacting to anybody. He said, because people are getting so quick draw that it's ruining relationships. Like he said that, like he's been watching these things, like deals go away with these big companies that are trying to make decisions with other people, and they're not.
Look at how many race teams have failed on knee-jerk reactions.
Yes, but that's our world we live in. I think, everybody's already ready to hear the next thing. The next thing. I mean, it's like the whole deal in the shooting in Vegas. Dude, that was catastrophic, and we're almost on to the third or fourth thing. We're ready to nuke somebody, man.
Yeah.
The church shooting will last about another week. And then they'll be on to Kim Jong-un or whatever is, getting his world rocked over there.
I just want to know, at what point in the world did we immediately we skip grieving for all these families that are like bouncing off the ropes and just getting clotheslined here. Just no questions, no answers, no nothing, to immediately taking their loss and leveraging it as pointing the finger. This is your fault. This is our fault. But it's like, whoa,
because
where the fuck did compassion go?
It's that team philosophy. It's that us versus them.
If you haven't been through a traumatic death, and I'll speak for my own self, until you've been through and seen it first damn hand and been through it, you cannot. In today's world, with the movies we watch and where our minds are at, you can't rationalize with it, and people have no remorse for it because they see it every day. But once you really see it, then it puts it in perspective. You're like, oh, that shit's real. And then you put a feeling. I think there's not a feeling attached to that with the society in general. I notice it with my kids, and I also notice it with the people that have been through some serious shit, that they react similar to how I react when anything. And it's not even necessarily, it doesn't have to be like just death in general. I think people are just sort of numb to, and they don't
even
see
like
it.
with me though. The way I look at the world is, I tried to keep an open mind about everything. And then, 9/11 happened, and I didn't understand how to process that. And then I was like, you go on and you think about things, and you're like, that's pretty heavy stuff, because it was heavy stuff. And I think that when I really started thinking about a lot of stuff was when those two guys backpack bombed the Boston Marathon. Mm-hmm. And then I just accepted the fact, okay, this is going to be normal stuff that's going to go on, and it's never going to stop. You're not going to be able to stop it. Once a week, somebody's going to do something crazy. And, you can get into all kind of gun right things. I'm pro-gun. Concealed carry. I've done all the background checks. I'm all legal. And I can't go nowhere without a gun. Can't do it. And if I can't go somewhere with a handgun, I'm not going. Just because I at least want to be able to fight back. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing is, people... I read all kind of things, whether it's something Rosie O'Donnell says, or, she thinks that everybody that has a gun should be in prison, and they just need to be all thrown away. And it's like, criminals, they don't pay attention to laws to begin with. So
And when you
still
don't
gonna
have
get
it,
'em.
the average everyday gun dude, or that's against it, is like, is it gonna happen to you? The odds are no.
No.
The odds are no. It's like the guy getting struck by lightning. But I guarantee, if the guy that knew that it was going to get struck by lightning, if he would have been any way he could have saved it, whether it be get off the lake or quit golfing or whatever,
that
would
copper
stop
stake
doing.
into
Yeah,
the ground.
grab the copper. Yes.
Well, I did the
Carry-
fire extinguisher analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a fire extinguisher in my house too. So I have loaded firearms and I have a fire extinguisher that's charged. So there you
Who
go.
is it to say that? And look, man, if I get shot myself, is totally different than me. And this goes back to being through something traumatic. Man, it comes to shoot my family or hurt my family in any way, shape, or form. I can't live with that. Even if I lived, I could not live with that have happened to me if something were bad to happen. Mm-hmm. So therefore, you can't take that from me. You can't take my level playing field tool.
Yeah,
Because but another thing is, and just like any tool, it's only as good as your operator. So
Absolutely.
90% of the people there that own them, it's like, damn, dude, you need to tighten up. I mean, it's
Loose
a tool,
cannons or just
Right.
refuses to be trained correctly.
right? And these
Absolutely.
people, and you can't stop. There's a difference between, what the average everyday just shooting that maybe it starts out with an argument and some dude whips out a gun, two rednecks. We know that story, but that's totally different than some, kid out there that's delusional, can get a weapon. Obviously,
That kid's fucked up.
Or it's peer
in
pressure.
all of them.
Or, yeah,
and if
peer
you
or it's a
look,
perfectly normal kid that's getting the peer pressure.
but they try to group that in with and people can say what they want to about all these like school shootings and Columbine and all. You can't stop that, and that's actually society created that with what we see around us 24/7. And then, that's not the same thing as what we as gun owners or me as more of a conservative thinker is. That's two different things in Muslim. It's terrorism. You know what I'm saying? The everyday Joe, this guy that comes in the church, he's doing it in the name of something. It's not getting picked on. The whole thing's
It
messed
was like
up.
a domestic thing.
Yeah.
Plus,
He was after his mother-in-law.
I think
She was
there's over 3 billion guns in the United States and 12 or 13 trillion rounds. So if that was really a problem, it'd be dead people. It'd be big. It'd be like damn Wild West.
The best thing that I've heard is they said that eventually we're going to get to a point in our technology and our knowledge that when something like this happens, they're going to do a autopsy of the shooter or the person that did it, and they're going to examine their brain and they're going to say, "Oh, here's what was wrong."
I've seen some studies
and,
about yes,
and we're all going to basically feel sorry for him because, like, oh man,
yeah,
he was a good guy, but he had this,
yeah,
he had
always,
this.
It's an
Well,
excuse.
that kind of
Yeah.
goes back to the early comment, right? Like love and compassion
Right.
to your
Yeah,
neighbor.
so-
Okay,
and
it goes spin, but to segue this right into Timmy's idea, that's what I'm talking about. We were just sitting here trying to talk about, man, sitting around a fire, enjoying the outdoors and nature, and the world we live in is so dominated. And I don't sit around and think about this stuff because I'm such a in my whatever's in front of me thinker, but people are getting tired of it. People want to get along with
the rat
people.
race. People are
and
on the fuck rat race
and,
train.
And I think that eventually once the two sides thing goes away, because it's like the only time people are mad at each other is when they're behind their computer. When I go out and I go to McDonald's, nobody's mad at each other.
Right.
Matter of fact, people are letting each other. Everybody's like, "Hey, let's
Those
be
same people,
because there's consequences.
right?
right."
The same people.
And people are getting pissed too, so
that
you're gonna have to deal with it even
motherfuck you
more.
on Twitter.
Right.
Are the same people to come up and be like, "Yo, man, what's up? You're
Oh, yeah.
you're Twitter verified. Take a picture with me." Like,
Right.
Okay,
Right.
you're that type of person.
Yeah, but I think people are just and people just want simplicity, and I think we have, maybe what Timmy's more or less is talking about uncluttering your monetary and sort of touchable life, but I think what goes right along with that is the clearing of your. I think we've hit my father-in-law said that we have hit our max for the amount of information and emotions we can take on a daily basis.
No.
No, you think we can handle more than that?
Yeah. It'll be I think we're going to expand.
Yeah, people
more.
are going to go. My daughter's going to go nuts then if it gets any. It's.
I think this is just like a maturity thing. Like not as like as far as being like immature. I think that social media and being able to communicate, we haven't reached the mature level of being able to do that.
We don't know how to harness the power, the true power and capability.
Yeah,
How many years old are we in internet years? Like
Well,
as far as social,
here's
8 or
an
9 year
interesting
old?
point right here. You think about this for a second. Social media or any kind of communication like that, because there's no consequences, people say what they want to say, like your point, where they won't say it in person. And now you can instantly read all these thoughts. And so the thoughts get more hateful, they get more violent, there's more finger pointing. And I feel like that's one of the bigger causes of the division and why people don't want to get along. You know, you're talking about now you're walking around society and people are going to do whatever they want to do. But there's 10 or 12 genders now. You know, you have to, if you're not sure what somebody identifies with, I mean, you got to ask them what their pronoun is.
Yeah.
That's what the politically correct thing is to do. I got to know what your pronoun is so I know how to deal with you. And then it's almost like people need to label you as quick as they can, so then they know how to judge you. And this guy's pro-gun. Yeah, I can't deal with you. You're pro-life. I can't deal with you.
It's dehumanizing.
Absolutely.
Well, the great thing about
Because
it
that's
okay.
He said it. He said it right there. But what you just said, the dehumanizing. That's how you get that us versus you. So you can go to like World War II when we were talking about the Nazis. We were saying that they weren't humans. They weren't people. They weren't this or they weren't that. They weren't us.
Right.
But if someone grew up in that, that's all that they knew, and they were telling the same stories about us. It's that dehumanization.
Dehumanization.
That when you say that makes it easy for the fight.
And that's the other thing too. If you're looking for water on Mars, and there's people that are thirsting to death on Earth, and you have the technology for that not to even be an issue.
Right.
You got people living on a space station.
That's why I'm not an Elon Musk fan. Everybody's building all these bridges to that guy. He's not a humanitarian.
Well, a lot of people
he could change the world.
But
we're going to bore a tunnel so you can drive from California to North Carolina. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The stuff in the batteries that makes them.
Oh yeah.
If you look at the footprint between having to dig it up,
put it on a boat,
the tooling, putting it on a boat, refining raw materials into a usable material, and then you have to plug it into a coal mine, essentially, really, or a nuclear plant. Like what?
Yeah, people are so hung up on
marketing. I will give anybody, if you're a genius of any, you can be an evil genius. Some of the most evil people in the world are just so beyond smart.
Right. But I'll
give a nod to that, but I don't necessarily agree with it. But I will respect the genius,
right?
And then I'll respect the guy who out geniuses you to take you down,
right? Well, I always think that it's in what goes back to what Timmy said. There's everybody's like you got to ask them their pronouns. There's a million different groups, and what these people, and this is the difference between normal and non-normal, and it's a good explanation for it. These people think, okay, there's freedom in me saying that, I'm a girl. Now, Zach decides he's going to be a girl. So there's some sort of they think freedom and power to the people. But the reality is that so binding once you've entered that angle of life. It is way more than just being the normal dude. The normal dude is actually the free guy, the unspoken guy in this country that doesn't have a voice. The silent majority is the freest place in the world. Anything else you dive into out there is binding. Because think about it, you're jumping into non-normalcy, which is binding, and anyways, it gets complex.
Well, I think what you're getting into is I'm a vegan. I'm
identity
crisis. Everyone's trying to be part of a group or try to be part of a smaller tribe.
The two things that affected me most in my life that make me humble was I remember when I moved from Banner Elk, was snowboarding, and that was my life. The sort of I considered myself a snowboarder. Like so then I moved down here and started working on race cars. And at that time it was it was two different worlds. And I remember I was like, it hit me right out of the gate. I was like, wow, dude, you're not a snowboarder. That's a lot. That's not a thing, dude. You're a jack man. That's not a thing. And then I didn't really get that hammered in, and I thought about it because it affected me. The one thought on how I live my life. And then my dad, when he retired, he was lost just a little bit in the sense that he had no identity. Because he had been Johnny Hayes, the race car guy, his whole life, and then he never went to the track again. So even though he was a totally happy guy and did his, lived a normal life,
sure,
it was like a part of him was gone because he identified with that so much. So therefore, I don't identify with really anything anymore, and it makes life a lot smoother going on the transitions to different things in life as you grow up and get older.
Well, I think you'll find the majority of
I don't
people...
know what the hell I was that. Yeah,
it's all good. So I think you'll find the majority of people don't care what gender you are. Like if you say I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, like
nobody cares.
Okay, that's cool. Like that doesn't affect how I think or interact with you on like a person to person basis. Like if you have blue hair and say you're Wolfkin, okay, well, what do you do when you go home? Like how do you hang out with that? Like what?
Right.
How does that make? What do you do with that? And then if they want to tell me and talk about it, and you can be like, oh, this is how I see things. And this is how I feel. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, now I understand you as blank, the gender with the wolf. Like, you don't have to be abrasive with it. You don't have to come at...
That's the problem. When it gets shoved in people's faces.
It doesn't matter, right? So if you can say, like, today I feel like a girl, I'm like, oh, okay, well, cool. What do you want to get for lunch?
There you go.
I've got one of my good friends lives up in New York City, and he's a hair designer, super cool dude, and his daughter, is like he was telling me, this guy's like he's from actually Banner Elk too, and he's a dad, just mountain kid, married to a super hot chick, of course, because he's in that industry, and his he has a daughter that and she's gender neutral or gender fluid, and he was like she's trying to act like I'm supposed to be like all freaked out and like, dude, this guy's been in New York City in the fashion industry for the past whatever. Nothing's going to shock this guy. And he says it's really frustrating for her because he says, oh, she's a chick. She's a girl. She just is totally trying to get, trying to be pushing the envelope. And he was like, you're not going to do it.
Thing.
He was like, you're not going to do it. I've worked in the fashion industry for 20 years now.
Yeah.
He was like, you're not going to do it. And he was like, she doesn't know because she doesn't know what Dad's been around. So, but he said that is crazy because now she's starting to not give a shit.
Well, a lot of people
it's not working.
Mistake perception of reality in reality as a 1-to-1 ratio as to perception of reality on Twitter or social media or whatever. So it's like the hive mind that exists, like and pushes you and says, hey, you need to act this way or feel this way, or you need to identify yourself this way and act this way once you identified yourself. Like the real world really doesn't care. Like people aren't that angry and upset. Just the things you see in the media and the things that get shared around is all that anger and hatred. It's not actually like that in the real life. Like it's just not how it really works.
That was very loud.
I knew it. I was trying to open this beer bottle as good as possible.
Like there's
sorry.
People don't realize there's transgender people in the garage. And
yeah, there is.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Hey,
because you're there racing a race car. Nobody cares.
Right. You're slinging the tire. You're taking
nobody
circumference.
Cares.
You're
just
tread depths.
do your job. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Just do your job.
No, nobody even thinks a second thing about it or cares.
I worked with the wind tunnel. I think there was a guy came in there was transgender or whatever. Did nobody even do? And what's funny is people, and that's what's sort of funny about the people that are protesting don't realize about the real world because they don't engage in it because they're living their own little world.
Right.
In the real world where it's a bunch of professional people, that's really the last thing you're thinking about because we're all trying to make money. You're exchanging time for money basically, and nobody cares. I don't know. It's hard to be cool. I've really noticed how hard it is. Like if you really are trying to be cool, especially nowadays where everybody's pretty damn cool.
It's a hidden currency because if you are, oh man,
right?
If you got the demeanor and the patience,
right?
the ability,
right? And Pruitt and I have talked about the next generation of the people that are going to overtake this world are the people like the guys sitting here at this table. Dude, I'm totally comfortable with whatever you got, man. That ain't my story. That ain't my deal. I'm your friend. I want to love everybody I can. And, let's do business.
I'll let them fire it out, and I'll walk very, very coolly and calmly.
And as social of a guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and as social of a guy as I am, I walk into the Starbucks to get a coffee tonight on the way over, and, Charlie, the guy that runs the store, he gives me the coffee for free. I didn't have to pay for it. And it's, nobody's a stranger to me. And it's just, I don't know, I guess when you're friendly nowadays, you can get some weird looks, or some people are just mad at the world, and I don't know. I
got no time to be mad.
No, man.
Dude, I'm looking to have fun and enjoy whatever I'm doing now. I sort of want to have that I'm feeling good about everything. And when I say that, not living in a fantasy world, but I want to enjoy myself in life on a daily basis. I don't want to worry about if somebody's mad or the drama. And I think that has to do with being a father a little bit. Once your kids get a certain age, it tends to get a little drama filled. But in general, man, people are just way too uptight. That's one thing I always like about
have outlets.
I'll put it this way. I've never even had, with all you guys, we've all had to deal with business and do stuff that we don't want to talk about and have to hold each other accountable. And it's always been nothing but cool ever. Like, even if I maybe welded something for you that broke or wasn't fixed right or whatever.
What?
But then most people, and especially the industry we work in, it is like walking through a minefield, because if you make a mistake, and you're not on somebody's agenda or you're part of their agenda, man, you're going to get lit up.
There's people I wish I never have to work with again. I like them on a personal basis. Like, hey. Oh, take 2 steps out the door. We're fine.
The thing about the racing thing that we all do is 9 out of 10 is not good enough, because everybody's going to remember the one thing that you either made a mistake on or you did wrong. Nobody's, 9 out of 10 is not good enough. You have to be 10 out of 10 all the time.
Yeah.
It's like I tell Zach, everybody's I guess it's really a life motto. But
which Zach?
Well, I think I've actually had this conversation with both of you.
Okay.
But people are so focused on the home run, the gin pop. Hey, look at this big move here. Look at this big move here.
Yeah.
Real G's understand that championships are won with a lot of base hits.
Right.
And that's the guy. I'm a base hit guy. Wrong, and different. I'm a base hit guy. And I've been working and being around millionaires for 25 years, taking care of them and building them custom stuff. And I see it every day. And some of them,
the guy constantly making the move,
and that's the epidemic.
The Hail Mary.
I always say, I wish, I've set up a lot of good vacations for people in their day, like as far as bosses are concerned. I'm talking about nice vacations, like big, like houses in other states where the whole family goes on vacation for a couple months. That's what I do for people. Think about it. Everybody we work for.
Yeah.
I wonder how Richard Childress's vacations go. Pretty lame. I wonder. Wonder who sends him on vacation. Surely none of those. And I always said these owners, and this is the truth. None of these owners can really, when they go to bed at night, sit back and say, "Look what I did." Not today. Maybe 20 years ago you could have, but not today. Everybody's keeping you up, and everybody's got to do their job right. Just like Petchek said, because the one time you don't do your job right, man, the whole thing comes crumbling down as quick as it was built. And that's sort of what's going on in racing. I think it's humbling everybody. And, it just goes back to, the bottom guys are, sending everybody on nice vacations.
Yeah, but that's in every...
Yeah, that's the world.
Yeah.
That's capitalism. I love that.
Yeah, that's the world.
Because I personally am looking for a good vacation.
Because you could be that guy, yeah.
Oh, I would, and have no problem with it. That's why I've never really pissed and whined about it. Because everybody has the same opportunity to make that in America. And that's what people don't want to admit, because they've already told themselves they can't. When you sit in a room of people that say, "Oh, I'm going to be big pretty soon, so just be prepared," those people are going to make it. When you have the guy that says, "Oh, man, this is why I can't make it," you're not going to make it.
Cool, man. Thanks for being a step.
That's right. And it's no different than doing snowboard trick. Every time that I ever did something that I was really impressed with. I did not one time in my mind, for some reason, I wasn't going to fall. I wasn't even thinking, falling wasn't even in the, and you're standing up actually sort of in shock of yourself, you know, and just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I meant to do that. That happens all the time because you didn't think of it. But isn't that just the power of the mind, you know?
That's where I'm at right now. I'm in the power of the mind thing because I'm like, I know that my career is winding down in the Cup Series, and I figured I'd do it for 25 years. I got like 3 more to get to 25 years. Now I'm starting to thinking about selling boats, selling cars, you know, going and talking to Johnny Morris at the racetrack and saying, hey, man, I want to be the Southern regional manager of all the Bass Pro Shop stuff. Let's just get this done and do it. And
Right,
you know,
right.
I'll use Tony Stewart for a job reference.
Right,
you know?
right.
Because I'm that crazy to just say, dude, you know, I would just walk up to him and floor him and be like, I can handle all this if you'll just let go and give me the rope. You know what I mean? Because you've never not made it. In the business we're in, you've never not made it. You've never not got a truck loaded. You've never not made it ever.
Yeah.
And so it makes you kind of feel invincible. Like you could just go take on anybody. And it's like this weekend. I mean, I met the top guys from Sage Fruit, from Textron, and they're just normal, regular, you know, cool people. And I love talking to guys like that and saying, hey, man, you know, how do you keep them apples good for that long a time? He's like, oh, you know, well, we pick them and we wash them and we put them in a room. We suck all the air out of it. And those things stay good, 34 degrees. And then we take them out as we need them and ship them wherever they got to go. And I'm like, that's great, you know, because I had heard one time that you could keep an apple from aging. You could slow the aging process way down on it. And I've always had a thing for growing stuff. I just think growing things is cool, especially food. And so when you get to meet a guy like that from Sage Fruit that's that high up and that just into it, and you can have a conversation, you know, had I not worked in the business that I work in now, I'd have never got to ever talk to that guy. So those are the kind of neat little things that
we meet incredible people.
And they're all, you know, I hate to say it, and
the dude was the biggest race fan ever. He's like, oh, you do aero work, and you know, they tell me you've been, you know, helping on the sprint car some, and you send them this and you send them that, and you guys draw pictures, and then y'all build it, and then it works, and you win. And I'm like, yeah. And dude's floored by it. And he's the biggest fruit dude. He's the Mac Daddy of the fruit stuff in America.
That's the, you know, that's the nice, you know, it's
enjoy yourself.
That's the nice thing about, I hate to say it, when you live in a world where you can build anything.
There you go.
When you live in a mechanical world, and you know, and there's a ton of them out there that can do it. I mean, pretty much everybody that you know in racing can do about anything. People are like, and it's actually like caveman stuff too. When it comes down to it, it's just such a lost art, and just as far as fabrication in general, or just being mechanic, you know, the whole deal. You know, there's a good bit of people out there who can build about anything, and to other people, it's just like. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, if you really knew these people, when they say, "Oh, wow, that's amazing," I was like, if you really knew that guy.
It's just like that Sunday morning we were sitting at Summit Coffee and Davidson, and that cat rolls up in that Porsche.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And we're looking at his
he's
car.
He's top dog too. He's thinking
cool.
He's the man.
And you know, and he talks to us, and I was like, you know, Zach, I said, that guy don't even know that I could hand build any panel on that car.
Right.
You know, but I'm not going to tell him that.
Right.
But you just don't never know what you're going to walk.
And it had this big manhole cover brakes on it, you know, and it basically was Martinsville brake setup,
they were huge,
and big, you know, big, and you know, I think Petchek made the comment of the manhole covers, and the guy looked at him like.
Well, you made the comment about manhole covers.
Oh, and but he didn't. Yeah, he did. But he didn't. He didn't even know what I was talking about. He was more or less no, but he was just more or less talking. Like when I said that, he was just like, "What do you?" He didn't even know what we were talking about. That was his car.
He didn't realize he paid $10,000 for those carbon ceramic brakes.
There you go.
Right, and probably has never really heated them up.
Yeah,
you know
what they're going to cost the next time around.
Yeah, you're replacing those.
Actually, he's going to heat cycle out the brake pads in it, so they'll be junk from the gate, because you know those things are so soft. They really need to be. They're designed to be stomped on.
Yeah.
Once they get hot and warm, they just turn into like bricks. You know. Yeah. But it's funny that you know. But you know, it goes back to it. That guy don't give a shit what we think, and that's you know that guy don't care. He's the one driving the yellow Porsche.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm just having to talk shit about him. Right? Exactly. But it sort of goes back to what we were originally talking about. You know, everybody's and that's something, that goes back to what you try to get out of your life. That's the kind of shit I want to get out of my life. Even, it goes back to the mentalistic, what we were talking about, But I think people are sick of this shit. As far as just everybody having an opinion, but it is actually, the guy was sort of,
It's all good. I just,
But I'm telling you one thing, the whole Davidson thing, the mayor, and obviously this is probably too local for anything, but, the Republican mayor won, a guy named Rusty Knox. That's big.
What a name.
Rusty Knox. He's a local.
Like KNOX?
Yes.
Like KNOX.
I mean, I kind of need to see a commercial or something.
Right.
Rusty Knox.
No, I guess he's pretty sharp. He's in with I've got some friends of mine that he's friends with.
I want to know what he looks like.
Yeah, he looks like he'd be playing guitar out in front of Summit Coffee. But the beauty of it is before it was just the stuffy, liberal, know-it-all, elite, typical, exactly what you'd think be running Davidson. Exactly what you would think would be running. I know more than you. Y'all just let me do this, and we'll go from there. And but this guy, it's definitely going to save that town. Well, you've been seeing the green shirts and the green stickers, Save Davidson.
Yeah.
That's all about Rusty Knox.
Oh, really?
It started out as just a canopy thing, like for trees.
So what?
And then it turned into
what was the controversy?
Transparency. This guy was doing all kinds of backdoor deals, and he owned I think the mayor that was there owned like a contracting company. So when they built that big mental hospital. And over there, that's across from the baseball fields, over there, right towards where I live.
Yeah.
There's it was hit. I think it was all benefited
Holy
him.
shit! This dude is awesome.
Oh yeah, this guy's awesome, dude. Our town, son.
All right, let me get a bigger picture here. He looks like he would hang out with like Timmy, rolling down the road on a
Harley. That's right.
Dude, I'm telling you what, when I ride my Harley through Davidson, okay, this thing's stretched out, black, 10 foot long. I've got an old school 70s white bell helmet. I got a black bandana over my face.
Rusty Knox right there.
And people won't even look at you. People will not even look at you in Davidson when you're riding that thing.
My God.
Yeah, no, guys, just trash.
The neighborhood is gone.
Yeah. Timmy actually would go drink coffee there, and Timmy would wear a different style outfit and get a different reaction from people every Sunday.
From the same people. Sunday.
What a lot of people don't know is
cue the deer and here
Timmy
cue the
rolls
lady
up
with the strawberries
and the Harley shirt on.
Yeah.
Or the lifted truck where he rolls up on the custom chopper.
Yeah.
And you got everybody else prim and proper wearing their Patagonia indoors and everything.
Patagonia indoors.
Let me tell you what. The first person that's out of their seat to open the door for a lady with a handful of coffee or an old person is fucking biker Timmy over there.
Right.
Well, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
you got to lead by example. You lead by example.
It's sort of funny that the whole Patagonia thing's really taken off, because that was something when we were if you had the Patagonia gear back then, it was ridiculous. You had to get it at a real outdoor store,
Yeah, but it's like shifted.
Oh, bad.
It's more like
it's
fashion
bad.
now.
My neighbor was like, "Hey Zach, you'll get a kick out of this." I was at Summit Coffee the other day, and I was behind these guys, and this guy used to be outdoorsman, hiker, the real deal, and he sort of knew that we had some, we like the outdoors for real.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was behind this couple, and he was like, "Hey, honey, I just want to let you know how good that Patagonia jacket looks." And she goes, "Oh, I'm really into the Patagonia thing now. I love it." And he said she's already decked out head to toe. Patagonia hat, Patagonia jacket, the socks, the stretch pants.
Wearing like $800.
And $750 hiking boots from REI that have never going to see anything more than the pavement on the sidewalk.
And I had a friend of mine.
And it's 90 degrees, and the down jacket.
Yeah,
I can wear one of those little thin down jackets when it's 20 out and be unzipping it within minutes of walking. So they're just dying in there. They got the fleece on underneath it.
I went to a friend's going away party here not too long ago. He was moving out to Oklahoma, and he's a salesman for Newell Coach out there now. And he asked me, he's like, "Man," he says, "what are you?" He's like, "You're not yuppie, you're not redneck." I'm like, "Dude, I'm coastal. I mean, look at me. I got Guy Harvey's shirt on. I got a pair of board shorts on. I got Jimmy Buffett
you're Florida boy all the way.
I'm Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville shoes.
I knew that.
You know,
Actually,
it's-
the first 17 seconds, I think I talked to you. I was like, okay, this kid's obviously Florida beach rat.
Absolutely.
You know, borderline swamp rat,
God.
somewhere in between. But you know,
I just want to do a quick interjection here. This is the most Mooresville thing I've ever seen. And
What?
it like hurt my heart to know that like I work in the city. Okay, so we have
this is gonna be good.
Yeah. Well, I got two thoughts. Okay, remind me of the second thought. It's about the Patagonia thing. So I'm driving to work this morning, and this young kid in this like $80,000 Denali, lifted thing with 24s and rubber band tires, rolling coal down the highway, Highway 77, driving like a jerk off in the middle of this traffic, rolls by, and up in the corner of the back windshield was a sticker that said "Dip Life."
Oh,
And it had a Mountain Dew bottle in between the two with like spittoon in it. And I'm just like, is this like,
And so this is an expensive vehicle too.
oh, this, I mean, let's put it this way. The Bayliner, is that the ski nautique?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's nice.
It's pulled. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's pulled right behind that. I mean, this is,
what did you say? This the what?
The ski nautique, the ski nautique, like the kid's got a $90,000, $125,000 boat that's pulled behind, that's going behind that thing.
Oh, okay.
And was he full blown lake guy?
oh, I mean, Lake Bro to the max, and which is no problem. But what, Dip Life?
Yeah.
Bro, there's no way you've
Yeah,
ever
there's-
seen like boobs.
Right.
There's guys rolling around town that have
You
their
have a light switch dick.
their they have their Instagram handles on there, like
Oh, I have seen that.
on their bumper, and then
Yeah.
you go and there's just an Instagram. It's just their truck.
So, okay. I want to say the Patagonia thing. So if we look at a spectrum of things white people love, and you got
Right.
like outdoorsy stuff, like I guess North Face is kind of even more of a more luxury brand now, but like the Helly Hansen stuff, like
Oh, yeah,
people that
right.
wear up in the sea,
Right.
Fishing,
Oh yeah, the
hardcore
Norwegian Helly
Yeah.
Hansen's Norwegian.
So,
it's
and then-
high end too.
and then,
heard of
you
that.
have
Oh,
like
it's
the
expensive.
vineyard vines.
Yeah.
So like Patagonia has like shifted way down the lines here. Like it's moving close to the
Oh, and you can't pull back out of that. No, that's a hard one to get out of. So I didn't realize that Patagonia is famous for its industrial fishing shoe.
Really?
huh.
Non-slip, steel bottoms, look like a moon boot, and you can't even. I don't even know. I put it this way. I didn't even know about it until my buddy Raglan was like, "Oh, you haven't heard of that?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Well, here you go. Let me send you a link because it's not on its website." And I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, they're $900
This is
custom
for real,
commercial
real
fishing shoe
fishermen.
for ice, for that." And you when you think about it, man, that's no chump out. You have to like that is if there's one thing I imagine you're going to own that's nice would be shoes on a ice boat in the middle of the Baltic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your ass don't go down. Because you ever seen they walk around like it ain't nothing? They ain't slipping
Yeah.
anywhere. And they're complex. They're all
and these are angry seas too.
Oh, yeah.
This
Yeah.
is not for.
So I was shocked that, of course, I don't know how. I just kind of.
And I also wanted to touch off what Zach Young was saying about how they got the Instagram up on
Right.
their vehicles, but there's no mention of truck or fishing or lake life. So there's like a super weird phenomenon and in the courting process now with that generation
Oh no.
that is like completely. It's really. So I'm a marketing
I
guy,
want to
right?
say, oh
I'm a
no.
marketing guy, right? So all social media is for a lot of these people, other than an outlet to stay whatever opinion they have, is more of a branding exercise. It's more of a brand extension of themselves. So you're really like, oh, this girl's gonna like fall like.
You're peacocking.
That's a peacock feather. It's your peacock feathers. That's exactly what it is.
That's
exactly
the
what
term
it is.
that you can invent that term.
Yes, it's the peacock feathers.
Well, I mean, peacocking's already a.
I've experienced on my own. I have.
David is educated, smart guy. I have
Hey.
done this. He sits around and does this.
Okay, so if you just like look and listen and sit around, right? Like people will tell you a lot more about themselves and the way the world is without actually having to say it. Like you can pick up on behavioral patterns very well. And Instagram's great because it gives you a visual, timeline of how their presentation of themselves and their interests have shifted. Or you can even go and look at the following feature and see the kind of pictures they like. So you can kind of like judge as to like where their mindset is and who they're chasing after and stuff, right? So I'm a short the market guy. Okay, so for instance, you'll see a lot of this stuff. Girls be like, "This is my Snapchat, haha, no dick pics," and it's because no, this is serious. So a lot of this like younger age, like freely sends their dicks via Snapchat or Instagram, just randomly to these girls, unsolicited, unasked for. So it's just kind of like, okay, so
Unsolicited.
I feel like am I really here?
yeah,
Did I really hearing this? Am I really hearing
this?
this?
Don't talk to us. So I look at that and I listen, and I always love being. So I was raised actually by very powerful female figures in my life.
Right.
So like my dad shot himself when I was 19,
Right.
so I didn't have a dad then.
Right.
Another pillar was my papaw, died in 98 from cancer.
Right.
So my aunt, my mom, and my grandmother were really the people who taught me about life.
Right.
And just sitting in those conversations and listening to them about like what's important to them and the feminine perspective of the world. So when I'm sitting around like a lot of like girls that are the next generation down or my age, you can kind of take the same listening techniques and see like what they expect and what they're looking for. So if you got like Tommy Toughnuts out here flinging his dick around on Snapchat, literally, like just short the market. Like, okay, so it's not the medium, right? So people are meeting on social media, they're meeting on these dating apps and everything, right? So it's not like rocket science. Like just use that medium, but in a different, like more respectful way. I have met girls on all forms of social media who I've never met in real life and have had like dating encounters or dates or become friends with them just by not being a complete tool bag. Because like the bar is low, fellas.
Yeah, no doubt.
The bar is low. If you have the ability to hold a conversation, make a girl laugh, use the correct form of "your" on social media,
Right. So that's
and
important.
are above 6 feet tall.
Right.
I mean, the bar is so
So
low.
if you're just a normal guy,
if you're just
sort
a
of,
normal dude,
If you're not a
with a
douche.
little bit of a fucking genetic like nudge one way or the other,
and you're over 5'11",
Yeah.
you're golden.
you're good. I mean,
Wow.
you're slaying all day. You're out kicking the coverage here, son.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you're running back punt returns and touchdowns.
Oh yeah, you throw a jacked up 4-wheel drive in the mix, just
Right. Right.
actually do something with your hands and fix things.
Right. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Does that
exactly
blow
what
him
I'm getting
away?
at. Yes, because I have a friend. She's like an up and coming country singer. She lives in West Hollywood, pursuing more of the modeling and acting side of her career now. But she still, does local shows and whatnot. And she's from like Texas, small rural ass Texas, right? And she's been in Hollywood for several years now. And one of her comments was when she came back to Texas, is she forgot what like a real man looks like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, because everybody's so made up and
Right.
so yeah.
But I mean, like I'm kind of big into urban exploration and kind of lines and geometry, and I like take pictures of buildings and lighting, and I do a lot of nature too. But
Right.
when you walk around Charlotte, it's the same motherfucker on every corner. Like
Right.
$800 shoes, slacks, the button up,
Right.
texting on the phone,
Right.
biker, every
Right.
time. So when I was on the dating apps, you show up and you kind of gotta get over a little hump, right? Because girls are they're smart, right?
They're expecting something else.
They're expecting
oh, right. Yeah.
Billy Banker to show
the dick
up.
pic.
Right. They're
Billy
expecting-
Banker and his dick pic.
Billy Banker and his dick pic. Right? So you show up and I'm like, hey, she's like, you work in racing? Yeah. I'm working on the marketing and communication side. Okay. You have all your teeth. Oh, Yeah, most of us do, as a matter of fact. Like,
Right.
So you're kind of like
Slashing down stereotypes.
Yeah, slashing down
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right. But then it's like, it's not the same fucking conversation. Like, what do you do on the weekends? Well, I travel, and when I'm not at the racetrack, I like to go check out, different food places. I like to go check out, the local only sites. I don't
Right.
do touristy shit. Oh, okay. Well, what else do you do? Oh, I'm actually in graduate school finishing up my MBA right now. Oh, okay. And then, like, the next date, you wear a short sleeve T-shirt and you got your pirate tattoos hanging out. And she's like, "Wait a minute, like, you were dressed
You're not fitting any of my stereotypes.
Yeah,
when
where
is this? When are we gonna put this together?
Who is this person?" And
Right.
then it just kind of like, so just short them right. Just don't fit the mold. Just be an individual, right?
And the thing
Well,
is,
you have to be yourself.
You have to be yourself.
You have to be
People,
yourself.
Right.
Doesn't
God,
matter
man.
if it's your boss, if it's a girl, if it's
Right.
anybody worthwhile. They will call out and and pick out those parts that are bullshit pretty
Right.
quickly.
Oh, really? But they see so many personalities through the social media side of life. They get to see.
And here's the thing: demographics are a real thing. Patterns are a real thing. Trends are a real thing. So, like, you see enough of it, you can start to piece together, like, and figure out, and forecast and map the path of exactly how this relationship's going to go,
Right.
or how this conversation's going to go.
That's crazy. I'd be,
I believe it 100%, Pruitt. I believe it 100%. No doubt. And I mean, I've watched a lot of interviews over the last year of Jesse James and, like, all the things he's been through and, the mistakes he's made and just learning from his vibe, because he just does it his way. And it's, his story's pretty cool. He's, he'd been through a lot, done through a lot, and he finally, after he had got to the top of the heap on everything, selling toys to Walmart and building a business and, all the different women that he had dated and married and for whatever reason, lost, and he, totally took the blame for it. And, he checked himself into a rehab deal and, he swallowed his pride and did it. And it made him a way better guy. He's a way happier guy. He just let everything go. Now he's with a chick that likes all the same things he does. And, and like he says, instead of, the Hollywood types coming out and him having dirty hands and like, oh my God, what are you doing that for? And
Right.
Alexis DeJoria comes out there. It's like, oh, that's so cool. Can you make me one of those too? I'd like to have a lamp like that. Or,
Right.
And he's just out there cutting and tooling away and building stuff and just having a ball. And, and he's finally with someone that gets him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have
She's
to be
a faster
somebody
driver
different
than he is.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
She does.
And ultimately, you know what, those guys, he probably.
but her daddy, John Paul DeJoria, read his story.
Dude,
his story is amazing.
He is a wild, wild
really?
card. Yeah, incredible businessman, libertarian, does not fit the mold.
Yeah,
Right.
him and Jesse James, I love those two
whatsoever.
guys. I have pictures of quotes of theirs in my phone that I read.
Right.
John Paul DeJoria's 10 things that successful people do.
Right.
I have that in my phone, and I read it usually every other day. I just go through it. It's his story is amazing.
So it must be, and it, just like anything, or like what we were talking about, Jesse James, even the guy that sort of made the whole thing, or done it, even he someday has to be honest with himself.
Yeah, and he is, and
yeah.
that's
And
my
we've
point.
all been through that. I mean,
That was my
that's one
point.
thing I can say, and maybe it goes back to just seeing who you're not who you are who you create. I'll put it that way. If you're trying to create an image and you're trying to be something, and that's sort of what's wrong with our society, we got people telling us how we need to be. You're okay. If you're on this side of the fence, you're one of these people. If you're side of this, man, you had never sat down and talked with Zach Hayes for 10 minutes. If you think I'm like my dad used to say, God, it is getting scary when Zach Hayes is my view of a conservative. He's like, that's how far off. Because me and my friends, and most of them are still very liberal, but, my dad, the way he looked at me, he's like, yeah, when Zach Hayes seemed like his life is conservative, that's a damn red flag right there. Where our society is fucking going to hell. And it's true, and man, I'm a
Snowboarding scum to family man.
right. Well, I mean, no, and even more than that, though. I mean, even like all us, if you saw David Pruitt without talking and not smiling and without his shirt on, you would walk the other direction. So Same thing with you.
For sure.
You know, same thing, you know.
Happens on a daily basis.
But what I'm saying is
like the nicest person ever.
But all it takes is to talk to somebody and actually get to know them, and you realize, oh shit, this person's just like me. And that's what's wrong with our society, because when you're in the McDonald's, like we said earlier, you can walk and everybody's face to face and everybody has respect. But then the media side, your television and your cell phone is telling you, you know, that guy is an asshole because of, I told you he's an asshole.
Yeah. Right.
Wrong.
So,
and that's why nobody buys into that shit. Or that's why I'm like, dude, I don't care what color, I don't care what gender, I don't care anything until you've pissed me off with something you're saying. Now, we can go. Now, I can be very stereotypical, very, very, very stereotypical. If you go over what's acceptable,
the personal attack.
Yeah, you don't want to do. You know, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but I think that
and that's not going to happen. Let me say that that's not going to happen because it doesn't happen.
Right.
And that goes back. But online, you would think it would happen, or on the screens, you would think that would happen. But the reality is that's not going to happen to us. If it does, that's fringe society that you don't need to be around anyways.
Right.
You know, but what you said, I'm sorry, Zach.
I think that the majority of conservative people now are starting to lean more towards a libertarian, because basically it's going to boil down to being socially liberal, fiscally conservative.
Right.
You know, so you're going to be capitalism, all that noise on the fiscal side of it, and then on the social side, drugs,
individualism,
guns, you know, that whole deal.
Right. I never really thought it. And, you know, it's funny he compared
big
that. Funny you said,
but yeah. So there's that. So we just haven't had a candidate. You know, I think Trump could have did it. He could have ran as a libertarian because it's a little bit of both.
Well, and honestly, I don't even think, man. And I could be totally wrong, dude. And you know, everybody agrees with this because everybody thinks way too deeply about it. But you know that invisible guy that I was talking about earlier that doesn't have a voice, that is our silent majority. And I'm not talking about the silent majority that what you hear about on TV. And we know the silent majority try to paint you as the gun to, you know. I'm talking about the real silent majority guy. That is what Trump is.
Yeah.
Even he's the most flamboyant asshole out there. But the reality is, he's that dude that's working at the bagel shop below him. That's that guy's voice. And I think it's bigger than what people see. And even the conservatives and even the Democrats and the GOP and the DNC, they all think they're still a thing. I think what it is you're going to see is they're not, they aren't going to be able to follow this. They're not going to be able to really pinpoint any of that stuff. It's down the road 10 years.
You got a little bit more nodes showing up on the spectrum.
Well, there's so much more information and data being collected. People are making their own decisions. If they feel like they got their own soapbox they can stand on, surely they think that they're, it's more individualism, and it goes back to what you just said, individualism. But that actually is going to surface into some sort of change in our country. As far as, I don't think you're going to have parties as much as technology is going to get to the point to where it doesn't matter because you're going to be hitting your button on the phone.
Yep.
To vote. And then it takes all that out of there's no polling. You're going to make your decision anyways yourself on social media. But when they make it easier and easier to do that, it's all noise. The political side of life right now is just a bunch of hot air, except for some real shit like the North Korea thing. That's not hot air. That's some shit. That's some real news.
Yeah. Flint, Michigan,
but
real shit.
The uranium one deal, nothing is ever going to come of it. All these things are just political noise. I can't imagine Hillary Clinton ever, as much as I would love to see that, just for pure entertainment. I don't think you're going to see anything really big come of it, and I could be wrong. But I just don't think I don't think Donald Trump's the kind of guy to really...
She's too old.
And I don't think that would look... You know what I'm saying? There's more to it than just throwing her in jail. At some point, people realize everybody's got to get along. It's never going to blow up in our face. I'll put it that way. Everybody's like, we're going to go to civil war. That's never going to happen. No. There's how many trillion? There's a couple trillion rounds of ammo. They're never going to get spent because they're there. It's a nuclear arsenal concept. If everybody's got nukes, everybody's cool.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get so crazy because they're not going to come house to house because you wouldn't make it damn a quarter mile down the road because some other redneck would hit you with the bow.
Well, and Zach touched on it.
Zach would
Young,
hit you with
he
the bow.
just touched on a good point.
Right through the femur.
You've got, you need capitalism, number one. And then if the capitalism's good, then people are going to be apt to help more people. Because I'm in the middle of the road on the deal. I totally love helping people.
Right.
But I like being able to control my own destiny too.
Right.
And that's all I want. I want to be able to control my own destiny, and I want to be able to help people.
Those aren't mutually exclusive ideas, right? Like you can.
Right. Yeah. You don't have.
I guess
one or the other.
That's really the point. Is
Right.
We'll just say
there's
healthcare.
a lot of Timmys in the world.
Think about this for a second. All these people that claim, and there's Democrats and Republicans that fall into this, but any kind of social justice warrior that stands up on their soapbox and says women are getting abused, food is, people need help, then there should be plenty enough people to run your soup kitchen on Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
But they can barely get people to help. But they're going to sure tell you that you need to help them. Well, dude, if people start actually giving a shit about each other and really caring, which I think this next generation, I've noticed it with my kids, man, they're caring people. The bullying, there's bullying, but generally these people sort of take care of each other emotionally. Mm-hmm. Crying in school now isn't like crying in school when we grew up. It's a normal emotion, right? So these kids are also going to be hard as hell to work with. Because people are going to become unemployable. So what happens to us? Money in the pocket. Because I'm staying in the game for as long as I can. If I get to compete with this is what I always say about business. Man, I'm 46 years old. I'm trying to make changes in my life to go better business-wise down the road. But if my damn competition is a 30-year-old kid, get out, man. You better be on your game. Unless it's Pruitt. But you know what I'm saying. But
it's the ideology. Right?
But you know what I'm saying. But you know what I'm saying as far as the
great, or do you want to? I mean, you can. What's the word here? Competent, relatable, and personable.
Right.
Like, if you're a 30-year-old who said, you know what, I'm about this welding game, and I'm gonna learn fab, and maybe you're not great, but you're like putting the effort in. It's a lot more easy to work with somebody and turn them into a top-notch person,
right?
Than somebody who's just like,
man,
this isn't for me. I can't handle this. Like, right. fuck the bad.
I've always said
nobody has had it. It's practice and reps. If you don't put the time in with anything,
right,
and don't understand the principles behind it, it doesn't matter.
I think too, if you've, and this is especially, I'd say in professional sports. If you've accomplished some really cool stuff, it's a confidence builder, man. And I'm a pretty bold guy for the most part.
But what's funny about Petchek, and I'll say this real quick so Petchek has been successful in racing to where, really, as far as working with Ray Abraham and just being involved with people like that. But, you've done a good job in your career path when you're sort of come full circle and you're sort of like Kane from Kung Fu now. You're ready to just walk the earth.
Yeah, I'm ready to walk the earth, and that's where I am.
And
I'm 45 years old, I'm ready to
he's
walk
like,
the earth.
and I'm, I don't know if I'm really quite at the point where I want to help people. Because I'm just, not right. I'll open the door for you, and I'll give you a couple extra bucks. And if you need me to maybe help you cut down that tree next door, or repair your lights, or maybe see if I can fix your, whatever.
My point is that my point is right here, and this is just.
But what I'm saying, Petchek is, at a good place, and that's
this is my point, because this is where we should be as Americans, and I'm just going to use this for an example. If you're in the grocery store, and there's a needy family in front of you. And and something happens and a check don't go through or a debit card doesn't work, like I'm the guy that's going to walk up there. I'm going to stick my debit card in there, and I'm going to pay for that stuff because I'm going to prove to everybody else in the store that it's okay to help people.
Right.
It's okay to do the right thing. Don't be scared.
And Americans have always done that. This is what's funny.
For help.
Man,
yeah.
Our country's been through the damn ringer. It's a young country. And it's been through the ringer, as far as through the Depression and the wars and all that stuff. And man, the government never really played a big part in the survival of the people. I mean, if it wasn't for communities, like my dad said, when his dad and them were all off to war, on the mill hill, all the women worked in the mill. There was no men there to work. So all the kids raised themselves. So there would be like a 13-year-old daughter wrangling cats basically out there, with baby. It was a mill hill. So there was tons of kids. But, people, like he says, people aren't going to sit there and watch each other starve. Classic example is, and as much as people don't like him, but I think it's a good organization, is the whole Billy Graham thing. Those dudes are always the first ones to show up. It doesn't matter whatever happens. It doesn't matter if it's Haiti, Africa. Those are the first dudes. They're there before the Red Cross is, and the Red Cross is already set up in those places. And this dude shows up there, and but what I'm saying is that's just a good example of how to be with your own.
That's my point.
You've got to help people.
If the situation presents itself where you can show a number of other people that this is how you roll, this is how you do it, this is the norm, because you don't know if kids are watching. You plant those seeds. Right. You build that. I don't want to call it brand loyalty, but I'm just saying brand loyalty because
it is building your brand.
Here's the thing:
you need to get a sticker for the back of the truck.
But my point is, if you've got so you go with healthcare, just say with healthcare, okay, we'll think about just simple economics, supply and demand. Right. Well, why aren't there trade or technical schools to build nurses and build X-ray technicians, and why isn't that something in high school that you can go ahead and get started in and get the supply and demand?
And the two sides of the story to this is either the people are going to have to step up and do it, and this is down the road.
But that's how they did it 150 years ago.
But if the people don't step up and do it, eventually these people are going to be replaced by machines. As far as and not, I'm not saying everything, but at some point people are going to have to work. The Chinese, that's why they're so successful, and it's a dictatorship that really helps it. but those people work. They're getting shit done, regardless of how they're getting it done is one thing. But ultimately, it takes the elbow grease to make anything as successful as I think America wants to be, and more or less of it is just the attitude of the people.
But
hopefully we can get we have a shitty attitude as a country.
But you need to go back and watch some of these miniseries. Yeah. I watched the miniseries about the car makers, about the Ford, the Chevrolet, the Dodge brothers, and those cats. That was ultimate vision. It was awesome work ethic. I mean, they started this. These were visions that they had in barns.
Drones is the next thing.
It's just crazy.
Excuse me.
Automated everything.
Hold on. Quad. Let me go ahead and say this. I thought about this earlier today. The quadcopter design, multi-rotor thing is going to be the next form of, that's going to be the next big thing. I've been looking at it too much online, like as far as like what's really going on, like just the drones and drone racing and drone pictures and drone footage. Man, it's so generic. It's so generic when you look at the industry that it's going to, it's bigger than the little companies that are out there.
So what's the FFA going to do with all this stuff?
That's why I think that's why they jumped in on it early.
Because, you're that could be big, flying drones in the jet planes and near the airport, and, it's...
Yep.
There's a lot of liability
I think they've only had one incident where a plane hit a drone, though.
Yeah, but what if you got somebody that wants to fly a drone into the?
Oh yeah, no, that's and they got them that run. You can build a racing drone that'll run 180 miles an hour.
That's what I mean. You can run it right through the engine of a plane.
Oh, you could catch up to it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Just in transparency here, that rustling is my burgers that I'm eating for dinner.
That is good.
But I would like to offer up these nice barbecue sauce onion rings.
No, you go ahead.
I love that Pruitt does it like custom. He's got the two burgers,
I'm a custom guy, man. I acclimate my life to me.
Right.
And that honestly, it costs, but...
Pruitt is the meat eatingest human I've ever met.
I was a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Are you bad? Yeah. Are y'all both bad? You are a meat dog. I forgot about that.
Come on. You know what? Witness me. If you don't eat your vegetables...
Y'all are both gigantic.
You'll never be a very tall and strong human being.
It's all about the meat. I'm with you. Yeah. Oh, you got to tell me. I can dog any kind of, anything, any meat whatsoever is done.
So, okay. Automated everything. Everything's automated. Our semis are automated. Our farming's automated. Our health is all automated. The trash trucks, they're all automated. Everything's automated. Is that good or is that bad?
I think it's going to be good for some people and bad for others because they already have automated machinery that can pick an order in the warehouse through GPS.
Mm-hmm. All I got to say
What
is
becomes valuable when everything's automated?
What do you want
how
to do?
far do we got to get down the road before the sky busts open, some aliens roll out of there? That's right around the corner.
Hold on.
I mean, you're sitting there talking about technology. That's got to be right around the corner.
It is.
It's a little late on the scene. If you compare, listen to this. This is a good one. If you compare the flip phone that was on Star Trek,
Oh, absolutely.
versus not seeing aliens yet, we're a little late. Sort of like that big, just like that big earthquake that's about to slide California off into the.
Hey, it was
Pacific.
less than 50 years from the time we flew a plane.
No shit.
Until someone
That's scary.
dropped a nuclear weapon out of it.
What's the name of the curve? What is that called? There's a technology curve, and it's quantified, and it shows you what technology is going to do.
So yeah, what you're saying is
It'll end up being the Fibonacci curve. Watch.
Yeah. So there's some sacred geometry in that. We can get down the rabbit hole. So what Young was saying is from the time we built a plane to the time we were dropping nukes out of a plane was 50 years.
Less than 50 years.
Less than 50 years. So we've got that curve going up right. Well, now it's just like going more close to vertical, right?
How about
so
this?
our acceleration in the pace of change and technology.
But the curve's got to end up going. Man, that's
Well,
pretty.
Well, we're talking about, and I'm not talking about just like robots, but what about when you have automated SWAT team members that you can send in to disarm bombs and kick doors down and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I wonder
Iron Man
if
stuff.
you know the bad thing about that is like that's what it's coming to, because right now cops can barely do their jobs. That's going to really suck when the robot comes out there. Oh, you don't have your license, and rips you right out of the driver's seat, and or they'll just,
Well, I would say it'd be
I don't
more
wanna
of
go up against a robot.
of a hardcore situation. I wasn't really thinking about traffic stops, but you're talking about hostage situations and this, that, and the other, where you could have 20 of these things just keep walking towards this guy. It doesn't matter if he shoots them, and ain't going to stop them. There's no fear. They'll do what the program tells them to do. Mm-hmm. It's. I think there could be some
RoboCop was a bad movie, dude. It was the best movie ever. The guy shoots that gun and goes, "I like it." Man, that's awesome.
Well, I mean, talking about the electric future, they're having the conversation now. The manufacturers are about making the truck series all electric.
Oh, to give it something different.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, and this is not NASCAR's idea. This is the manufacturers saying, "Hey, we need." So
Because they're selling trucks regardless. They got to spend that money.
Yeah, but not the trucks. They need to do that in the Xfinity series. Or they need to make a 4-cylinder class or a 6-cylinder class.
Yeah, 6-cylinder probably be the smartest thing to do. But but people, it's funny. They're not going to interest people with internal combustion engines anymore. I mean, the electric's where it's at.
Who watches Formula E?
Not me.
Not me.
not me.
Not me either.
So there you go.
Never mind.
Well, I mean, this is just me speaking, but how is hydrogen not what we're doing?
Oh, it should be.
Because it's extremely explosive.
Yeah, but I don't think it is in that what. It's not like hydrogen. I don't think it's like
2005,
stored.
they had a twin turbo BMW 7 Series that was hydrogen powered.
Right.
2005, which means they had hydrogen gas pumps in Los Angeles.
Yes, but there's also the problem where the oil companies buy the patents.
Right.
Yes.
To that stuff.
Yes.
That's what happened to the electric car originally, right?
Yeah.
Or
Isn't that what
good carburetors or good ideas that are and that's the.
God, that's the truth.
And that's the thing, and that's part of that balance that we're talking about. Cash is king, and you got a guy that develops something cool in his garage, and some oil company says, "Hey, I'm going to give you $5 million for that patent." He's never got to work again. He's done.
Put it like this.
I'm immediately selling.
Put it like this.
Not even a
You're going to
question.
tell me that tiny little Offenhauser motor, the little IndyCar motors, they're like this big. They got 3 pistons in them. And dude, those things would run like a scalded cat with direct injection at Indy 500 all day long. So you can't tell me technology hadn't come to the point to where they can't have multiple pistons per cylinder made out of super high weight. I mean, there's
with money and tools, you can do anything.
But I mean, you can build everything out of ceramic now. Everything can be built out of ceramic, and we just don't do it. We stick with metal, and it's because there's a lot of money in it.
Well,
3D printing is going to be the next thing.
Yeah.
Well,
3D printing everything.
Oh yeah.
But you think about like what Pruitt said when we started talking about communities and where you don't have to go very far to get what you need. Then you're probably not going to need a car anymore.
Right.
If you just say look like Birkdale Village, you think you just say you got a bunch of Birkdale villages that pop up. Now you might have something that's a little bit more earth trendy, but you're going to get on your bicycle and ride to the common area. You're not going to crank a car up and drive it there.
Completely self-sustainable microeconomies.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things you're going to see down the
bartering is going to be coming back a lot more.
Yeah, because inflation. Everything's going to get smaller. It's going to get more expensive to make, create, cultivate, whatever it is.
And the economic divide's only going to get bigger too.
Absolutely.
People don't want to. That's why I think what you see happening now, with the two sides already starting to form. We got a bunch of kids out there that really aren't willing to work and start out on the bottom. I didn't realize a lot of these people don't get jobs now after they get out of college because they don't think the job is high enough up for what they. Yeah. They don't understand that everybody starts out on the floor.
Yeah. So nobody starts out as a bank president.
I've had a conversation with a girl recently, a dental hygienist, who has got a business degree now, and dental hygiene, you can go to community college. Low cost,
right?
Incredible job demand. Live anywhere in the United States and be a dental hygienist. And if you look at the debt ratio to income ratio, you can make a fucking awesome living. And then you go self-contract out. The sky's the limit as far as income goes. Right. And she's like, "Well, what am I going to make first year with a marketing degree?" I'm like, "It's called an internship and nothing. You got to pay your dues."
Yeah.
Well, you don't think I can make like 70 or 80 right out of college? I'm like, you're doing that now as a dental hygienist. Like, what the? What are you? What are you doing here? Like, I get being upset or not liking a career or a change of pace or different life perspective and whatnot. But I'm just like, you got to be. If you're doing this like correctly and smartly, like. You should already know what the job market is with a marketing degree. Like, you got to get into niches. You got to get a skill set. You've got to have already done stuff and started directing your career in that segment before you even get out of school.
Another thing that is going to happen, because my wife, she was a nurse, or she's a nurse. But I think that eventually what you're going to see is like nurses getting a lot more money from the hospital that they're getting now. Because that's another thing that, as healthcare gets pushed along and has to get more efficient, that's where that's where they're hiding it.
Well,
the inefficiency is in the money involved in how they do business, and the doctors make a shitload, and the people that work there make nothing. Technicians do, but there's a lot of nurses out there, and the nurses, should be making a lot more money than they do. But I think that'll end up being another place where, but. It goes back to skilled labor. The reason she's a hygienist is, she knows a skill that you have to be trained to do. And that's sort of what is weird about how we make a living, or at least definitely on the fabrication side of life. I've had my only formal training was hands-on making mistakes and getting yelled at because you did it wrong.
Absolutely.
And that didn't last very long, or I got tired of getting yelled at. But now kids, you can't do that. So it's going to be harder for them to go to Billy's workshop. And, think about if Petchek owns a shop and you come to work for him and he says he's got a metal shop and building custom cars, and some kid comes in there and says, "Hey, I want a job." And he's like, "All right, I'll pay you $15 an hour." This kid ain't going to make it through the afternoon before his feelings are hurt, because these kids can't handle it emotionally. And I think that's another thing that the money's not enough. They want to feel good all the time too, and it's just, that's not realistic,
That's part of the overall equation as far as job satisfaction goes, right? So it's not just money. There's studies that say in all industries that people, their max happiness kind of levels out at $75,000 because what it takes to make more than that requires a lot of more responsibility, more time. So the diminishing return on the increase in salary versus the time outside of work and life that you get to spend that money and put that to use diminishes. So there's like a balance going on, right?
And that's exactly where I am. I'm in that balance, and I'm like, I know what I want to do every day. I know how I want to live, and that's what I'm actively pursuing now.
We are crushing these coconut chips.
Oh God,
that's what this noise is.
Then that just don't you got to call these people and say, hey, listen,
they are good.
Can we just eat? Can you just send us a box of them because we just like to eat them during our show?
Yeah,
and so that could be your sponsorship. Would be instead of us talking about it, we could be all going sound like horses on the other end of it.
Going dang.
Dang. Every 17 minutes, somebody will just say dang. And just sound like they're chewing on,
Dangies are good.
Yeah, chewing on hay.
So we do have the health movement going on, right? Like people are purposely trying to eat more healthy now. They're getting away
except for with girls eating chicken nuggets. Except for that. What's up with that? Women love chicken. Like college girls eat chicken nuggets.
Love
this.
I've had a conversation with you about it. Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter will not eat at McDonald's unless the only thing she'll get, can we get a dozen chicken nuggets? And whatever, Szechuan sauce. If you could get it. It was limited.
So you realize, you know where that came from, right?
No.
That show.
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
Okay, it has this just crazy cult following, right? And it's about a crazy, smartest guy in the universe, scientist, who's created, ability to time travel and has identified that...
Y'all gonna trip on this when I show you. Keep on talking about Rick and Morty. I'm gonna show y'all some...
Okay.
That guy's got deep roots.
And then he's got his grandson, right? And it's about their adventures. And a lot of it, it's got like a really dark tone to it. It's definitely more of an adult cartoon. And so many people are attracted to it because the doom and gloom that's the millennials are kind of like on the back end now, like relate very well to the content of the show. Well, it's got an incredibly cult fan base, right? And we're all working in racing. We know how loyal a fan base can be.
So one of my buddies, we almost started a company together called Bootleggers, and it was going to be like a stock car theme, white lightning sort of clothing. We had this old photographer dude that we had met. Anyways, the guy was talented. My friend Dieter Wagner, but he works and does the claymation for Rick and Morty. I didn't even know what. Yeah, I didn't even know. And he's from Gastonia.
Wow.
I was telling you that he was part of the Fred Durst crew. From Gastonia, all my friends that were from Gastonia, I was telling you about Fred Durst, and this guy was part of that crew, and all of them were special. You ever get around people like that? Mm-hmm. The whole crew is sort of spectacular.
Yeah,
weird. All because they pushed each other.
Yeah,
didn't say they couldn't do it. Every one of them.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome.
Right. Okay. So Szechuan.
The Szechuan sauce. So Rick and Morty has a
dang. See,
they've got like a cult-like fan base, right? And the gap between season 2 and season 3 was like a year and a half. Like it was real long, and it was a highly anticipated show, right? So everybody's sitting here waiting for the season premiere, and everybody's like, it's July. Well, the creators of Rick and Morty go out on April Fool's Day and throw the premiere out there. But if you went to the TV guide, it said something like Robot Chicken, or it'd be something like Dragon Ball Z. So you were literally just sitting there watching Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, and then all of a sudden this fucking new Rick and Morty comes on, and you're calling everybody you know, and then they drop it on their Instagram like halfway through the first episode, like, oh yeah, by the way, you might want to turn on the TV. Season 3 premieres on right now, and people's minds are just blown, and it's like the most organic movement. There was just craziness. I remember my brother texting me, and he's like, this is not a drill. Rick and Morty Season 3 premieres on right now, and I'm like, all right, well, we're going to pull into the Starbucks real quick, turn this Wi-Fi on, I'm going to watch it on my phone. So part of that craziness.
That's what's wrong. This is what we've become. Yes. Right there.
I love that show. I've seen every single episode. So as part of that, he has this like really passionate speech about, you know, how 1998 was a great year, and he loved going to McDonald's like to get that Szechuan sauce
Because of Milan.
because of Milan, the movie, and then goes on at the end of the episode and goes on this crazy Rick rant about how he's going to bring the Szechuan sauce back, and it doesn't matter if it's going to take 8 or 9 years. Well, like all of a sudden, like the next day, people who had just happened to fucking hang on to their Szechuan sauce packets from 1998 were putting them on eBay and selling them for like $5,000. And then all of a sudden, like McDonald's PR and marketing agency gets on it and says, "Okay, we've got a like crazy cultural phenomenon."
Let's get the Szechuan sauce.
But then they totally fumbled it.
They totally fumbled it. So they made like a gallon jug size and gave it to the creators, and then boom, the next day you could go get Szechuan sauce like the next day.
Right.
But they were way undersupplied.
Yes.
Which, okay, so there's a saying in small home
And
businesses,
you don't
right?
mess around with this crowd.
No.
You don't.
No.
There was
Szechuan
riots.
sauce.
There was riots at some McDonald's.
But when you got a niche
Our
market,
country is so doomed. I just want to let you know, there's no way we're going to pull out of this. We're all going to have to live in Timmy's world because we have to. Because we're going to be eating ourselves on the other side of the fence.
Here's my thing.
Outside of the barracks at the Timmy compound is going to be mass chaos, and we're going to have to lay down lead on a daily basis to keep the people from taking our Szechuan sauce. That we got that will take over the world with a gallon of Szechuan sauce.
Absolutely.
Here's my theory though. If you're playing with a niche market with an incredibly rabid fan base, and the demand is 10, the supply should be 9. You can't feed everybody because you want that rabidness and you want that publicity.
Well, just think about the Black Friday sales.
Jeez.
And the people go busting through the doors on these stores.
So quick, before I let Timmy delve into that. Okay, so I had a girlfriend, right, in 2012, and her mom and family and stuff were huge into the Black Friday stuff, right? And this was right around the time that Black Friday came into the Thanksgiving afternoon family activity, right? So you used to just wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning and go to the mall. Well, now, at that point in our time, you now went to the store on Thanksgiving after dinner. Well, she was hanging out with me and spent the night with me, and then we're kind of just hanging out, and we're literally talking about, holy shit, there's no way I'm going to the store on Thanksgiving, period. And then just imagine all the crazy insanity, like people getting trampled and riots and shit going on. So we wake up the next morning at like 6 a.m., like during Black Friday, and we're about to go get our coffee, and I'm like looking through social media and stuff, and it's like dailymail.uk. So this was like the fucking United Kingdom publication, right?
Right.
It said Thanksgiving Day, like chaos ensues of all these people who are going to the first Thanksgiving Day Black Friday opening. What? This is so fucking stupid. And the fucking first video is a picture of her mom in fucking Elkin, North Carolina, getting trampled by people at Walmart going after a TV, and her brother's literally pulling people off of their of his mom and her mom as she's getting trampled. And these people just swarm on these like $55 TVs, and it's just like, holy shit!
Yeah,
this is what people think about America in Europe.
Yes, absolutely.
and it goes back to what I was saying in the very beginning. We got too much stuff, and the reason we got too much stuff is a place like Walmart. You know, they buy 10 million of them for, you know, they're probably, you know, at that point,
Capitalism.
it is, and, you know, that's where it's, you know,
Gotta be thankful.
whenever,
Yeah.
you know, when,
Thankful for
and it
my
goes
family.
back to
Go shopping.
to my world, as far as how, if I put it this way, you know, if you got the money for the nicest, you know, whatever you can buy, whether it's a pair of leather wingtips, you know, or anything like that. And I'm not talking about just a nice pair of leather shoes. I'm talking about if you're willing to go at the $390 route, you will be a lot happier with your purchase because when you're 90, those shoes are going to be sitting there in great shape. You don't have to buy another pair of those ever again.
Right. I'm wearing those. I'm not shopping for another
And
pair.
it's just like my Samsung washer. Dude, I've got $4,000 worth of washers, or washer and dryer, it seems like. I don't know how much those things are. I didn't want to know. It looks like a fucking rocket ship. Okay, it makes all kinds of cool noises. It's badass. Dude, it's 4 years old. Dude, the thing is destroyed. I mean, and it was all a design flaw because they used cheap zinc on stainless, and you can't use zinc with stainless because zinc is like what do you call those pins and motors on the, like the sacrificial zinc pieces in boat motors and boat foots? You know, anyways, it keeps it, they're designed to corrode. Well, so what I'm saying is we live in a world where, yeah, it looks great. You can control it with your freaking phone. It tells you if there's, if your laundry's dry when you're in, at your cabin, I mean, but it doesn't, it's all junk. And it's just like these people are fighting over junk, and that's, and then you go to Europe and I've never been there, but from like my friends and my buddy Raglan lived over there in France forever, the shoe guy, he said, everybody's house is like walking into grandmother's because they aren't buying anything. The chair's been there for 250 years and it's a great wooden chair, and like you said, it's just, you go outside and there's still the wood stacked up outside because the big 450-pound cast iron stove that's inside the house that they, use to warm their tea up on and keep the place melted the snow in the winter, it's been there for 150 years. But where we're just like IKEA, just disposable,
race, right?
Just
I want have the newest. And
if you go to IKEA, it is super cool because I do like IKEA. I mean, it's a great place to buy furniture if you don't have to have $1 million to throw down because furniture is ridiculous because nobody even really wants to build good high quality furniture anymore. You have to get that stuff custom made now to get the real deal. To where it used to be that was how furniture was made. And the more and more we go down that road is like you go to IKEA, it's all looks. Like you can go through there and that's what makes it special. It's like, oh, that fits my Facebook image a lot better. This room, and that's what's weird is like, I kept on noticing. So I kept on noticing that my daughter, and I didn't know this about it because I'm naive. She was like, "Oh, I want this tapestry," and it was a cool round tapestry that was like tie dyed or whatever. And she hung it up on her wall, and I was like, yeah, "That's pretty cool. It looks like college and stuff." No, it's just a backdrop for her selfies. And then she bought like screen? This. No, it's just like a tapestry.
No, like she's using.
Yes, she's using it. Yes. It's and that was her image. And then I noticed that was the image on the back of her phone pop socket. The little rubber thing that you pull in and out on the phone. It was a direct match to that, the one she picked out. So there was some correlation between the actual symbol on the back of her phone, but then it came like the lights. They would have the backdrop with the lights, like the champagne lights or whatever, like light strings,
right?
It's like light curtains, is what they call them. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And she goes, "Yeah, that's because it's because people have glitter cases." I was like, "What?" Because she was like 13 or 14.
Yeah, it's a case.
So the glitter case looked like there's some correlation between the actual unit. So therefore, when we took her phone from her, it was like cutting off a part of her. It was like she lost an arm for 3 months.
There's people
they were freaked out, like she was like shaking, freaked out, like I was like, people. Whoa, this is crazy.
They've tested people, and they have
the chip's gonna be no problem.
They have a near-death experience when they lose their phone.
That's what it was like. It was, like it was bad.
And I turned mine off on the weekends.
It was up there with the dog. It was probably a couple notches above putting the dog to sleep. I'll put it that way.
Ugh.
Yikes.
That's how bad it. And they're all. It's not. I thought it was just me until I talked to other people that have kids that have grown up. Because my daughter is really a first generation of hardcore smartphone users. Like all she's ever had is an iPhone.
So think about all of us, right? Like we were analog in childhood. Well, at least people my age, like
because we're all analog though still.
And then
it's funny.
Our adulthood was digital, so we've got that weird in between.
Yeah, we're generation what? Y?
X.
X.
So there's actually a small. This is another cool thing. A little article I wrote. They have identified a micro generation that was between 77 and 85 that isn't quite millennial.
Just missed it.
And isn't quite like Gen Y, so it's or Gen X. So it's this really weird blend.
Would that be right before me or right after? Probably a little bit after me.
What year were you born?
72.
No, it was after you.
It was after you.
But just a little bit. Because I can see that. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
So it's the blending generation between the analog and the digital is really what it comes down to.
Right. And
So,
that's
like-
who's running the world right this second. Is that right?
Well, yeah. Think about it. Like dial-up modems, we know about that.
Right. And a dial-up.
And cassette tapes and all this other stuff. When think about our kids are like,
Yeah, the kids
dial-up.
now. The kids now don't know what the shutter sound means when they take a picture with their phone.
Oh, they don't know that's
Yeah, they
mechanical.
just think that
There's no reason for that anymore.
Right, they just think that's what the phone does. There's actually no there's no yeah.
They don't correlate it to a mechanical
nothing,
movement
no.
and a...
Dude, I'm so old. I remember when you bought flash cubes for a disposable camera.
Dude,
the
freshmen,
three-sided ones or four-sided?
Dude, freshman's last year, I think it was either last year.
That's crazy.
It was either last year
spooky.
or this year. Learned about 9/11 as something that happened before they were born.
I'll put it this way. Whoa. Say that again. That's important.
Okay, it was either last year or this year. Freshmen in high school learned about 9/11 as something that happened before they were born.
We're old.
Wow.
Okay. Golly, and I forgot what I was going to say, but it was going to be good, and it'll come right back to me. Yeah, that's sort of
Having
spooky.
difficulty.
I'm actually that when I said repeat that sort of I was like, oh.
Goodbye, wind.
Yeah,
I'm a
so
lonely sail now.
when I say that they don't know what the shutter sound means, like there's
Yes.
nothing out there that makes the
Right.
shutter sound anymore.
Right. Well, I tell you what, this was crazy. I had a Sony Walkman, like the blue one, 1980 model, 79, blue, yellow head. It's valuable. I was like, oh, hey man, I was in my room and I showed it to my son. I was like, hey man, check this out, dude. He stepped back and all but like got down on the ground and bowed to that thing because it was I've never seen Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's that one.
Oh,
Kidding.
And dude, it had like a, I don't know what, it had a ZZ Top chrome tape in it. I opened it up
Chrome
and
tape.
the clear one.
Yeah.
That was the first chrome tape I'd ever had, was that ZZ Top. I don't even know what sleeping bag was on that.
That's Eliminate Afterburner.
Afterburner, yeah.
It's Afterburner.
And I opened it up, and when it opened up, you would have thought like somebody opened the Bible, brought out
cool
this.
clicking noise.
Oh, and he was just like, do you think it works? I was like, oh yeah. He was like, it was like a spiritual moment.
Yeah.
Like I went down and got batteries, and it's a high quality piece of equipment.
Still works.
And oh yeah, but I mean you could hear the head. The heads probably could be cleaned, and the tape had been in there forever. So it is. It's the tape was so it wasn't dynamic 100%. He instantly picked it up. He said, "Oh, that's awful sounding," and I was like, "No, sounds like a tape cassette." And he's like, "I was like, I don't think you can get it in. You can get it a little better maybe by cleaning it. You can put a cleaner in there, but you're
I
still going to
remember-
have that mechanical sound of it going across." Because it's mechanical. I was explaining to him, I was like, it's a mechanical thing, even though you can't really see the magnetic, and it's a mechanical thing happening.
Transfer that information from storage
Right.
to sound.
But
Well,
the
in
fact that there's something
1987
mechanical, that noise is going to be there, where they're not. Like, for instance, these headsets we're getting pure, there's nothing, even to your listeners, it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
But I
Where an
remember,
old radio should be like,
I remember in
AM.
'87.
He heard AM for the first time too, because
Yeah.
after he said he hadn't heard a tape, I was like, oh well, check out this, and he was like, what's AM? And I just wanted to open up the door, jump out the window, and get run over by the truck heading in the other direction, because I was like, I'm done. These people are doomed. And he didn't even want to hear it. He was like, what? It was listening to this 710 or whatever the sports one is.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good because you can get it pretty good. And I was like, well, if it's late at night, you can get it a lot better. And he was like, what? I was like, well, mechanically, the stratosphere is bigger, so the waves bounce. And he's like, huh? I'm like, never mind. And then
I thought it was just
87.
87 was asleep.
But you're talking about '87, and you're talking about cassette tapes. That was when, and I had a lot of cassette tapes, but I remember hearing about what a compact disc was for the first time, and they were like, a beam of light's going to touch this, not a needle, not a mechanical cassette. nothing. And this thing's going to last forever. If you never scratch this, it's going to last forever because there's not going to be any wear on it because it's getting its signal from a beam of light. And now those are gone.
Right.
Right, you're gone.
Then you got...
Then you created MP3s from that. In
MP3s.
the lossless form.
Yeah. So, and now that's the thing.
And it grew out of something mechanical. That's the good way to look at it.
This is slightly bigger than the cassette tape, right? But I have literally every album that I could ever want and never want 2 clicks away.
Absolutely.
Boom, boom, Spotify.
Right.
Okay. Now, because of that, because of everything going digital, we're reaching a point now. If something catastrophic was to happen, we would lose almost everything.
You're right.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
So you're talking about like and
knowledge wise, we would lose
right.
almost everything. Like,
but see, that brings another point because
these few books that we have over here on the shelf.
Is that what happened to all the societies that have lost? Maybe let me put it this way. Everybody thinks that. What if everybody got so smart in the past couple times that they didn't need, we're like, well, it's just stone buildings. And what if they didn't need any of that? What if the technology was so high, that's where they evolved to? And it goes back to communal living and that maybe that's where those people go to. And maybe the technology is so high that you're back to carving rocks out of.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't think that the world's ever going to let that happen, number one, because it's detrimental to too many wealthy people.
It could be a bad solar flare.
It could be a bad solar flare, and they know that. They know that's a possibility.
It could happen right now.
You're exactly right.
Second.
So you think
if I had to walk all the way home from here, I would be I would steal a bicycle.
Yeah.
And I'd have to stop by the CVS and break in and get some of my wife's drugs.
Is you think about what the switch in power would be socially. So you go right back to the people that knew how to cultivate, knew how to take care of things. Think about the amount of people that are going to have to depend on you now. How it switches, like it could be big.
All the money right then and there.
There you go.
And I just have to clarify before I say my wife's drugs. She's had cancer twice and doesn't have a thyroid, so she has to have. And I've always worried about that. Honestly,
you could break into a CVS and I would be a character witness on your behalf and say, you know what. She needed this.
I've always said that, I told her, I was like, listen, if anything ever got to where, look, I know that if I go grab the big bottle, the big quarter-gallon bottle, we're good for years. That's what we're getting. Now, they might think they're going to divvy it up, but I got some I got some tricks up my sleeve that are going to make everybody in the room want to hand me whatever I want. and it's probably going to start with the first blurp out of anybody's mouth, right out of the gate. Just an attention getter, just so everybody knows, okay, don't hit any buttons, don't move anything, don't do nothing, because that shit was a mess.
Yeah.
And with zero, and that's what's really funny about, like, when you talk about, like, these, Antifa in Civil War in America. Man, America's got way too many damn edgy ass, badass people that actually can do some shit. Especially if you've ever been to a Pantera concert one time.
Yeah.
You're like, especially a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah. Now that dude is like 47 or 46. Guess what? He's still the same dude.
Yeah.
Except he's a grown-ass man.
Yeah, and he's not as active anymore, so it's a little bit more itchy.
Yeah, that's right. He's probably wishing. Sometimes you do. You ever notice that? You're like, God, I wish that guy would flinch.
I've heard the Boston hardcore / metal scene is like that. Where it's just like you have metal and you have metal culture, and then you have the dudes up in Boston who don't play that game. Like,
yeah.
Oh, bro, I'm from California. I love metal. Like, all right, get in the pit.
Oh man, there's that one dude that works. The guy with the that works. Nick that runs parts. He's got the.
Yeah. I know exactly.
He's different looking than everybody. He used to be a big like mighty friends with the Mighty Boss Stones and a couple other
this dude was a legit.
Oh, he was an artist. He's an artist, like a big oil painter artist, and does all kinds of punk rock and monster, like old 60s monster movie paintings.
Yeah.
He's super cool. And but he's vegan. Never said he had his parents were all vegan, no meat ever. And he looks like he would, he's super nice, but it looks like if you wanted to just go, he would drop those boots that he's got on that he looks like he's been wearing for the past 30 something years right to your fucking dome. Quick. And
I can't wait to talk to. I can't wait to talk to him tomorrow.
Yeah, Nick. Yeah,
I want to hey, I want to see some of your artwork. I want a picture.
Yeah,
I want to frame up some canvas, and I want one of those 60 monster pictures.
Yeah. I want. I actually was telling him I was going to try. I have a painting of a rat fink painting with some flames behind it and these flies flying through, and that I was like, I told him I was going to trade him today for it. I was like, I want that. I want that photo. It's a big oil painting of Frankenstein.
Oh wow!
And it's awesome.
Wow,
it's awesome. So.
Do you think he has an Instagram?
I don't know. He's
not about that.
He don't hang. He told me that he don't hang.
Okay.
Does not hang.
I respect that.
As I said, look him up. I mean, you don't have to say his full name, but
no, he doesn't have Instagram.
Oh,
he doesn't hang. He doesn't do social. I think he likes to drink beer.
I'll find out tomorrow. I'll peel the layers back tomorrow.
Oh, he's a great guy. You're gonna love him. He's gonna actually trip because I was talking about him. Don't tell him I was talking about him on the radio show. Yeah, Nick, he's a good guy.
I mean, maybe he listens to podcasts.
Oh, he will.
Maybe he'd be.
I think I told him about it. Yeah, I think he does listen to it.
That's what we're gonna tell him tomorrow. Hey, man, we brought you up on a podcast last night.
Yeah, you came on the podcast.
And everybody wants a painting.
I loved how this podcast here has gone from.
Oh, it's bad,
dude. We have such. No, I'm saying like the Young and Pruitt podcast in general. It's never the same show for one thing, and our range of guests and subjects and talks like. It's
like
huge.
I said when I sat down here, I was like, man, this makes me. I mean, this makes me happy. Because it's such a good show, and I enjoy listening to it. So it's sort of funny because I can't wait until the time. I can't wait to who y'all are doing next. Mm-hmm. Besides us, being that we've already sat through this one and pretty much know what to expect. But I can't. The whole thing's good. I mean, Lauren Rainier, dude.
He's
superhuman, dude. Lauren Rainier is like the modern for stock car racing. He is like a mod. I don't even know. It's hard to even make a comparison. I wish I could. Maybe Howard Hughes, but not weird. He's an innovator of.
I'll be honest, man.
Super passionate.
God,
he sat down, or I was like.
Okay, I bet I would, dude.
And that was like
pressure.
And that was like our shortest show.
Right.
It was only like an hour.
Oh, and I'm telling you what, yeah, Lauren is because he knows his shit.
Right.
You're not going to
perform. There was no dumb questions.
No.
There was no stupid comments.
No.
There was no room for error.
No. Because I love it. They're my hero. That's one of my all-time heroes.
It stepped my game way up. Dude. I had to go out and
Lauren Rainier should be doing what's his name's job? The guy that runs NASCAR. What's a France guy? Brian France. That guy. Lauren Rainier could do that job. Could you imagine with his knowledge or at least running? Lauren Rainier should be running something in racing as far as he could be a team. He could easily manage anybody's race team out there and be super successful because he's just no frills, no bullshit. He knows exactly what he's talking about. The data's always there to back it up. I remember when I first ever really talked to him as an adult and when I worked for him, man, it was all about numbers, man. It's about that damn stopwatch. He didn't talk about Tony Stewart for 2 seconds about that stopwatch, and his hands were always the same thing. It wasn't that, he's got heart, and we already knew that. But I mean, when it came down to it, even Tony Stewart, when he first started, when he was young, and it was all about those numbers. Like when we go out to practice for the first time, we collected data with Tony Stewart. It was awesome because we were we were a little slow, but that was the car. But the input in the steering and the throttle was almost repeatable to where he was like, you couldn't even question him because it was obviously you because it's doing the same damn thing every lap. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's identical. So it'd be one thing if, one lap it was off or up or the numbers were a little askew. It wasn't the case. He actually was, and of course, Tony Stewart arrogant about it. He was just pointing that out. Look at that. Oh, hey guys, as a matter of fact, y'all could probably unplug that now if you wanted to. Because it's the same, and and then he was talking, and one of the first things also that I remember him saying about like the numbers being repeatable. Then he went right to talking about how he would take care of a bunch of tear offs. He's like, man, usually when some of those main events, I'd go off into turn one, and I knew I had these guys smoked the whole night, so I'd go ahead and just pull every single tear off his thing, and look like a big bomb, glitter bomb. Have you ever seen that? He would do that. He'd pull every tear off at the same time, and it looks like a glitter bomb behind the car, and everybody knows, oh shit, he just pulled 20 tear offs off. He's done. It's over. He don't need tear offs tonight. Think about that.
Because he's leading the race.
Yeah, done. I wouldn't know that he don't need those anymore. The first lap, he said he would do it going into the first corner after the green flag. He'd be like, okay. That's badass. That's what kind of, and that's the kind of stuff, but that was what's funny about Lauren though, is I remember him calling me. He was like, hey man, I've got something you probably want to be a part of. And I was like, oh, and I instantly, actually just him calling me in general, it wouldn't have mattered. I respected those guys so much. And, first of all, Harry and Lauren Neer, it's just like, oh yeah, when I need to be there. And, every time you're around him, you got to get your shit right, because he knows it legit. It's not a game. It's not, I'm a hobby racer compared to that guy. Like a total, like just a hobby guy, like not even, like low compared to that. And that's why think about it. Look at who isn't, if you look at the race car drivers and who he's been involved with, all the way from back when they were young to modern day,
It's a who's who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's money in that. I'll put it this way. There's got to be a ton of money in that as far as being able to go pick those kind of people. But that horse, did he talk about the horse racing background much?
No, not really.
Well, and that just goes right. It's the same thing. He probably looks at those drivers as jockeys or horse. He's like, he's clicking the stopwatch. And that, nothing. If you go in any single form of racing and that stopwatch number's low, you've done your job.
But back to the mental warfare. When was the last championship Stewart won? Was it 2010, 11? When he won?
It was 11.
And he won 5 of the 10 chase races.
Yeah.
And then at Homestead, they have the piece go through the grill and they fix it. And then it rained a little bit and there was a red flag. And Jack Roush and somebody's walking down pit road, and he yells at Jack Roush to come over there, and then sends a very crazy message to Carl Edwards via Jack Roush. That tell that MFer I'm coming. You tell him I'm coming. Like he stayed in Carl Edwards' head,
and they tied, right?
Yeah. No, he won it. He beat him.
He won the race, and then the end of the season,
it was tied.
And the win was the tiebreaker.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, the win was the tiebreaker.
Tony, you're not going to
let him know I'm coming. Right.
Let the MFer know I'm coming. Wow. Let that MFer know I'm coming.
To Jack.
Like Wade brings Jack over to the car, and you'd like dead on looking him in the eyes and tell him, "You tell that MFer I'm coming. I'm serious. You tell that MFer I'm coming."
That's not a light switch, Dick.
Nope.
Nope. And I'm in Almirada. I'm at Ma's Fish Camp. I got a bottle of House White opened on the bar. I got fish cooking in the back that I just caught that afternoon, and I'm watching this on TV. And then I got the dialogue afterwards, but it was pretty cool.
Dude, Tony Stewart, and that's the way you look at it. That's the kind of people that you think of Davey Allison, Bobby. I mean, come on, the real deal. Anybody that, and another thing is like he's always got something going on. As far as the next, it's like, I don't know how the whole deal even works, but I mean, he's always scouting talent, and it must be like either he loves to go to races and scout talent, I mean, I wish I was that big, knew enough at what I was looking at. And that's what it goes back to when I say that Lauren Ranier could run any race team. If you are able to pick drivers and look at drivers that way, you have to know what the car is doing and what you're looking at, because it's all different. If you go to a damn dirt track or a asphalt, whether it's sprint or modified, or if it's ARCA or whatever, to know what kind of drivers that are good and bad, you have to know the weapon. You know, and dude, that guy knows the weapon. That's you know. But he was a go-kart racer and stuff like that. So I mean, he has enough knowledge about what's going on to.
And he's out there looking for something that you can't describe. I asked him
yeah.
what it was that he looks for.
I never thought about that.
And he goes, I can't. He goes, it's not a thing. It's that intangible. He goes, you can't.
Yeah.
You know it's a thing, but you can't describe it. He's like, if you got it, you got it. If you don't, you don't. I can't tell you what it is.
That's some shit right there, because I don't know what he's talking about. And I've been around. I've looked at race cars my whole life, but I would have not been able to. I don't see what those people see. You're right about it. That's funny. It's an intangible.
Did Lauren Ranier find Kyle Larson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's fond of a lot of people, and people just don't talk about it because their egos. That's another thing I always wonder. I was like, I wonder how it is to bring so many people up out of not that these people weren't popular in their own right where they were. I'm not saying that, and not else that somebody would come and pick him up down the road.
True.
But I mean, I think he was involved in a lot of drivers that. I mean, dude, I'm telling you right now, you're one of the best drivers I've ever been around, and dude, you can say what you want to, Tubby Porter. From Greenville Pickens, ended up having some problems here and there. He broke his neck at the truck race up in Oregon. What's the name of Portland?
Evergreen?
Yeah, no, Portland, Oregon. He throttle stuck and he hit the wall and broke his neck. But dude, Tubby Porter was the real deal. He was another real deal racer.
Was it you that was
of anybody of all of them?
Was it you that was telling me that they were redoing Evergreen?
Yeah, with the hopes to bring a truck race back out there.
Yeah, so it's in Oregon, right?
I think Evergreen is in Oregon. I think it's somewhere around the Portland area.
Yeah, let's
because
be sure.
The truck series used to do that West Coast swing where they stayed out there for a while. Like
that was when that's where Toby
Pikes
got
Peak and all those like that. But I think
and that's
Northwest might have a truck race coming your way.
See, now that's another thing about Lauren. If you were to bring that up with Lauren, he would have been, oh yeah, blah 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 blah. Just, this is the race. This is
he's looped in, man.
And I think he's just always on. You know, it's like funny. Occasionally he sends me the coolest video footage of I think there was a Jefferson Pilot Productions video that it was Charlotte, 1984. My dad was doing the TV, and he, I was like, where do you even come up with this stuff? And, he's probably got it sitting there. But
anything?
I'm pulling it up now.
Seattle, Washington.
Why don't they put enough rubber on the tires and take the handling away? Because these kids love the drifting stuff. The new generation.
You just have to narrow the radius of the corners.
Sprint car racing. I guess that was last weekend.
Yeah, I was there.
That place is packed.
It was sold out for the fourth year in a row. So completely sold out. Standing room, grandstands, pit area.
Have people there from 40 different states.
Yeah, it's the national
to drive
finals.
to Charlotte
to watch the World Finals.
Right.
One guy had towed one of the dirt late model guys had towed from Salinas, California.
Right.
With a pickup truck and open trailer, but he had a brand new race car, brand new motor to come race the finals.
And like you said, the stands. You said because it's pretty much you said if everybody was to be sitting down, you wouldn't have been able. There wouldn't have been a seat in the house at all. But they said there was just as many people walking around as in the stands.
Oh yeah.
Looking at the show, intermixing to an extent with the cars, and that's somehow they're going to have
pit pass.
It's a great deal,
right? And why not? Somehow NASCAR is going to have to get out of we're so in there because they're not inclusive.
The dog and pony show part of it is going to have to be more accessible to the fan. If you go to a dirt track, those kids that are behind that sprint car or in that mod, they're talking to you. They're hanging out. They're a relatable experience, right? Like you can go down there and just...
Dude, I'm at Donnie Schatz's trailer the whole time I'm at the dirt track, and I saw more young kids coming up and getting their pictures and autographs made with him.
Okay,
and that's brand loyalty, that's sport loyalty,
listen,
that's car loyalty.
When you look at when you watch the movie Cars and you see them at Bristol, you can see the problem. As far as even not even movie Cars, but I'm just in general, they park these trucks 12 inches away from each other. And, there's no way, it's just, they've got enough room to spread the show out and make it safe. You know, whether people need to be walking up and walking in your trailers and stuff, I don't know how out of control that
I don't
would
think
get.
you do that.
But, you know, I think what they need to do is just let it be more the drivers run off to their, you know, their trailers and hide. You know,
So you're saying like set the pits up like an NHRA race?
Yes.
That's another sport that's growing.
That's a great ticket too. I hit the NHRA races both times a year, and I hit the dirt races both times a year. And in my opinion, as a motorsports fan myself, those are two of the best tickets of motorsports.
Yeah, the NHRA fan experience is the best,
Oh yeah,
but it's not a hot pits.
look at the crowd.
It's not a hot garage.
Every type of person is at an NHRA race.
Absolutely.
Every type of person.
Yeah, it's just like a monster truck rally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they can have that kind of fan accessibility because they don't have a hot garage. Right. The cars aren't driving around. They're getting pulled around. They're getting pushed around.
Well, you're right. You're right about that. Same thing.
But that you know, look, man, I've been around races. You don't need to be running your car through the garage area at 60 miles an hour, pissed off. And that's another thing about the stock car thing. It's just the attitudes of most of the people involved. And I get it. I've worked down there. It's a stressful.
Tommy Toughnuts, man.
Right. That's got to go.
That's a lot of people.
Right. You know,
Well, I can see where there's liability, and you don't want people to get ran over. There's people that aren't paying attention to where they're going because their attention is focused on there's my favorite race car and there's my favorite driver.
Right.
And I'm not watching for these guys
Right.
coming off.
Logistically, they could make it.
Right.
And matter of fact,
I think Daytona did a good job. I think Daytona did a good job.
Right, with the up. Yes, that is good. And you can definitely interact. But then
Even Vegas. Vegas
the
is
problem
the
is
neon
is
garage.
the problem is the money involved to get the ticket.
yeah.
You know, it's like, dude, anything over $75 is going to be too much nowadays.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, I wouldn't pay that to go see any band. I won't pay anything over $25, or excuse me, I won't pay anything over $40 to go see a real band. And I haven't seen a real band in years. But, you know, the idea of having to go spend $450 on tickets to go see a Winston Cup race or to go see Monday Night Football, you're always going to, you know,
But and I want to touch on that.
yeah, that's a tough one.
Because when you bring up concerts, like as busy as my schedule's always been, and I am very guilty of this, and I had never seen ZZ Top before, and they were at Verizon Wireless, and I went up to the ticket window, and I had my wife with me, and I said, I want to see the closest thing you got to the stage, and there was like 2 seats, 4 rows back. They were $150 a piece. I slid her my debit card because I wasn't walking away. And that's just me. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I knew that was probably the only time I was ever going to be that close to a band that I've always loved.
Right.
That I only had that one opportunity to see them, so I just seized it.
Right.
And I've been guilty of those kind of things, a few more times. So I can understand where someone's going to save their money because, there just might be a chance. I get that. But I think that if you're going to travel to every race, like if you were going to follow the circuit like some of these people do, the people that like take their RVs and they go to every single race because they're retired, I can see where.
Right. Well, you know who's nailing it also is the Indy 500. Now the Indy the IndyCar deal in general is sort of
a mass appeal event.
Yeah. Now it's the Kentucky Derby now,
Well,
and it's more than even the Daytona 500 in the sense that they have definitely initiated and gained that Americana historical.
Yes.
You can't compare a one-off show.
No, I know that. Yeah,
It's an entire series.
but it's amazing though that.
because no one gives a shit about the rest of the races.
Right, yeah, because you're right. But I just think it's funny that because that thing was about dead for a while.
Yeah.
Like the Indy 500 was in way worse shape than
But even when I was a kid, though, it was a long
the
time
racing
before
sport, every other race.
it was a long time before I knew there was other races other than Daytona. Forever I thought it was like the Daytona 500 and the Firecracker 400 because I was from Florida and that was it. I didn't know nothing about Bristol now I was elementary school kid, but it wasn't until like 1983, 1984 when I had moved up to where my aunt and uncle lived and started working in a speed shop and we watched the races every Sunday on TV. Mm-hmm. That's when I started realizing how many more tracks there were. And
Well, I mean, it's the same thing about the Indianapolis 500. You know, being from Indiana,
Right.
everyone would always go.
Oh, so y'all would go?
Yeah, but you couldn't name a single driver.
Oh, okay. So it was the event. It was
Yeah.
like going to the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, like you couldn't name one person.
I guess what I'm
running
saying-
the race,
and-
but you went and you watched and you had a blast.
But there's got to be a ton of money in that for tonnage or for that track. When you get to that point, I mean, I don't know. I wonder what kind of money like the Kentucky Derby does.
400,000 people go to that race.
Yeah.
400,000.
And supposedly they have a good time. You know, that's not like where they're like
The Kentucky Derby or Indy 500?
the Indianapolis 500.
Okay.
Yeah. 400,000 seats.
Right.
Wow.
And that's not counting infield. That's not
Yeah,
counting people.
how about
just
how about the
going
big
to sing
DJ
there.
thing?
Right. So they have identified and adopted the popular music amongst that crowd, and they've given it to them. Like you it's the same old, pick 5 country artists, and they're gonna wrap them around every SMI and ISC track, right? So
Yeah.
Which I think would be a great idea if you want my opinion on that.
Right. I think that and NASCAR tends to pigeonhole themselves in what they think their demographic is by just getting
Yes.
country bands or just getting Nickelback or they don't really realize that you got to really adjust.
do take a deeper dive at the analytics
Right.
here.
Is Charlotte I think Charlotte has some craft beer now. Is that right? Did I
Yeah.
see that?
Yeah.
Did you send that to me or?
Yeah.
I sent it to you.
Did you
guys.
send? Yeah, that was okay. So that was
It was the
Hey,
Charlotte
look.
600 brew.
right.
Pale ale or something like
Pale
that.
ale.
And hey,
Charlotte is a craft beer town now.
Tell me, you know what I do? I would have all the hamburgers. I'd go to Crafty Burger or one of these burger joints that is big enough to handle and say, hey, y'all take this
A
over.
lot of people don't realize, but down in South End, there's a new taco shop down there called Southbound.
I've been there.
That's Jimmy Johnson's.
I've been there.
Oh,
Loved
really?
it.
Yeah.
So, if you made it to where it was like a food truck mecca on Sunday,
Dude, they need to pull up that spot and
God,
get a spot going.
because people will go for a food truck event in a heartbeat.
You tell me
Lobster
that
dogs? Oh, my God.
I can have a mobile vendor who can bring me, the race fan, tailgating, craft beer, and tacos to my truck. That's a value prop right there. That's
Right.
worth my ticket.
Right, and that's...
Tacos?
Right. And the bad thing is
IPAs?
this is the problem with this crowd. They're so greedy that they wouldn't like the fact that these people are coming in there, regardless if they're bringing in twice as many fans, are still going to want some of theirs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the epidemic that racing has across the board. And it doesn't really matter. You have to get out of it. Once it's on TV, you've got to deal with that crap. But you know what? They're almost like they won't,
Well, I'm just telling you, you need to. I did go to Southbound because I wanted to check it out.
Yeah.
And I went down there on a Saturday afternoon,
What a cool name.
and Jimmy wanted to keep this place like total California simple. The music on the radio was awesome. The outdoor place out front by South Boulevard is awesome to sit down and eat. The tacos were great, but then at the same time, if you're walking down the street and you want to walk up and get tacos because you don't want to sit in the restaurant, you walk right up to where the bar is
Yep.
and order your tacos, and they hand them out the window to you. Like, it's not even
Roll out.
you can
Right.
walk up the street and get them, or you can go in and sit down and get them.
Yeah, that. But
he had the food.
moves like that.
Yeah, he had the food dry ice, overnighted from California, so those chefs could taste it. So it would be the same flair that he had been eating,
Right.
his whole life. Same kind of salsas, all that stuff, man.
Man,
it
that's
was
cool.
it was a great time.
I love that people are. Into food. And it just goes to show you how miserable America's becoming when food is getting that good. I always said, anytime you want good music and good food, man, we got to be miserable with our situation as far as culturally. Because right now we're like in the doldrums as far as like everybody getting along. But man, everywhere you turn, there's donuts. Food. People are trying to make themselves feel better with that, along with
It's all about the
everything.
the dopamine release.
That's
Well, there
right.
you go. The dopamine release.
So who was telling me about the cell phone dopamine problem? These kids are.
Well, because they want instant,
Yeah.
they want
they're
instant
actually-
gratification.
So they're
Yeah.
so the same
It's
person,
instant gratification.
but the same. So if you were to go eat ecstasy or Molly for a month straight, what would happen is you would purge. It's not really the Molly that's doing the damage as much as the dopamine being dumped, and your body can't produce it anymore.
Yes.
So it actually starts to eat up other parts of your brain to make dopamine. So therefore it gets brain damage that way. They're starting to study that these kids are dumping so much dopamine on likes and comments all day long that it's actually having some real depressing effects
They
down the road.
found out that it's the same part of your brain that if you were like a hunter-gatherer and you were and you found like a bunch of berries or like a bunch of nuts,
Right.
and you found this food, like that's the same thing. So like you're hunting as you're scrolling
You're
through.
literally feeling something that is occurring on your phone, but you're feeling
Right.
it.
Yeah, but you're surfing and you're basically hunting and gathering likes and shares and stuff.
That's weird.
on this device. It's the same part of your brain that gets the same type of sensation as if you were to go out and find a bunch.
That's
of
why you got to. That's why you got to get one of the stickers for the back of your truck, so you can show off your pictures of your truck. If you do that, everything will be fine.
Yes.
hashtag
Because
dip
everybody will
life.
like your truck
Dip life.
or my dip life.
Shit.
That's what I'm gonna do. Dip shit life.
Well, I'm telling you, it'll sell. If you make a sticker or a T-shirt with
It'll
some kind of logo, it'll sell because people want it.
Mooresville has such a large general populace that is reflective of people who consume the trends.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude, this is
Lake Norman is a
test market.
Lake Norman
Right.
is a great
Excellent.
test market.
Yeah. If it fails here, it won't work.
It ain't gonna work in America.
Because I'm going to tell you what,
It is the broadest cut section.
it is very broad.
Yeah, because no one's from here.
Yeah, and it's a full demographic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no
Like
one's from
it's
here.
you got. I mean,
Middle class,
People dress for the
lowest
occasion.
class.
People
Man.
dress for the occasion.
Yes.
The lake. Have you ever gone, like when we used to, we used to spend a lot of time on the lake, because I grew up on the lake and we had a ski boat and we were like the first guys, wake surfing and stuff at all on Lake Norman and wakeboarding, like some of the earliest wakeboarders there. So we were about 1995 was a really, really good year. 95, 96, right before I went to work for Mr. Renier and them. And we had more than enough fun. And next thing you know, it just gets cheesy out there. Like it's bad out
Dude,
there.
it's the same.
You know what to expect.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
sent me the one that said the lake
life?
the lake life
They
and
all
had
have the same tattoo
Yeah,
on.
it had the same tattoo. They are exactly what you would expect. I mean, it's easy.
Dude, shorten the market, man. Go out on the
Yeah.
lake and not be a douchebag.
The
That's what you
Marlboro
gotta do.
Lights, the Marlboro Lights. Did you see that
Drink
one?
Budweiser.
Had the lake chick, and it was like Marlboro Lights, a koozie.
Oh yeah,
They had the
local.
Lake.
I'm from the
I'm from the lake chick.
I'm from the lake starter pack.
Yeah.
With it was like Bush Light, DUI, Marlboro Light, DUI.
2 Xanax bars.
Yes.
The
was
little
Mooresville.
small bottoms, the little small bathing suit bottoms.
Yes.
You know.
They all say crawling on them.
Botox lips, the whole deal.
Oh yeah.
Dude. Well, there's a reason they call it NASCAR money up here because you're doing expensive things, but you're just doing it in a different sense than the people down in Ballantyne.
Yeah, I tell you what, man. This is really one of the strange. That's actually what
It's
makes
the
that's what makes Young and Pruitt
socioeconomic
even that much better. Because if people really knew enough about this area, you'd be like, oh yeah, these guys are sitting in the belly of the beast in a way.
Oh, we are.
And racing is sort of like maybe like the ulcer.
It's the
in
catalyst.
the stomach.
It's the catalyst
the
for all of
belly.
it.
It's just like the lake and the whole thing. I always like the Ricky Bobby where all the stuff's in the yard.
Dude, it's-
Everything. It is so. Whoever saw that must have. Those guys that produced and made that.
The writer was from here or something.
Oh, okay. It had.
to
I mean,
live here
yeah.
for extended amount of
Yeah,
time.
it's
Extended
just
amount of time
like-
or something.
That's why that guy on 150 has that sign called Redneck Hollywood. I don't know if he lives there anymore or not, but he used to roll that thing out by the
Redneck
road.
Hollywood.
They'd be playing on the stage right there beside 150, right there beside the road.
If I've had $1 for every time I've been to when I was in high school or like a freshman in college or maybe even in college, our summers were pretty much spent on the lake if I wasn't living up in Banner Elk. And man, we could run around and look for parties. Like on Saturday night, when I was a junior in college, I was
Have
going
a
to
cell phone to find people.
Yeah, but so we'd go run around and you'd run around and there were certain places that were always partying.
Yeah.
So we'd pull up and you'd pull out and it was like crazy but like totally not my scene. But it was just the lake. You know, people partying on the dock. I remember many a times we'd stop and see people we didn't know or girls we didn't even know and pull up and be like, oh, hey, what's up? Next thing you know, you're hanging out on the dock partying all night. You know, try not to tear up the boat.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go ahead and shut this down.
Marathon, baby.
This was a podcast that I really wanted to get together.
Hey, if you like our interview style, this is just a candid conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Take nothing from it. It's just four guys talking.
Exactly.
That's funny.
With some racing sprinkled in.
With some racing sprinkled in.
Yeah, but this isn't a racing show, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
This is.
I don't really look at. You know what's funny, and that just shows you I'm the purist.
Events. We're not here for current events.
Well, no. I guess what I'm saying, I know it's a racing show, but I mean it's way more than a
And you want to know below the surface. You don't give a fuck who's points leading or who's going where. You're not here for that.
Right.
That's not what we bring.
And you get to know what you get, and you know what's funny. You do get to know. You're right about that. You do get to know.
Do you want to know
what it is, or
what NASCAR really is,
right.
or do you want to go to the 13-year-old who's got the repeatable blog of the same?
Oh yeah,
content?
go click on the TV and get exactly what you expect.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Right, I get it
Because all
that's awesome.
That's a commodity. This has value.
It's meet your favorite builder.
I love it.
Meet your favorite builder.
I like it. I'm it's funny. I enjoy. I can't wait to whoever's on going to be on next.
We got some big ones.
We got Lauren
we got
is
some big
a
ones
big
planned.
fan of the show, big ally of the show. We are very, very proud to have impressed him enough for him to stick his neck out for us. Joey Knuckles was an incredible.
Yeah, oh gosh.
Yeah,
That's old school.
Joey Knuckles.
That's old school.
that's the man.
Dude, he is the man.
That's the man.
He's
Dude,
the man.
I mean, we looked up. I will say this much. Man, he had those white gloves. Like, you know how certain people do certain things, and you know, they'd all argue with it. But man, Joey was the first. That's what he's. You know, actually, he wasn't famous because he was a damn good tire changer.
Mm-hmm.
But he had his trademarks. That's what you're getting at. He had his
Oh man,
trademarks.
I mean, you got to realize he was like Burt Reynolds. Like, you know, when I tried to explain to like how Hal Needham and Burt Reynolds what that all was like, and he was right there with Evel Knievel. Joey Knuckles would have been like, as far as the way we viewed him at our age, that was like
He said he signed
fucking
over
cartoon
12
character.
autographs to all-star guys that go over the wall now
Yeah.
Right.
in Martinsville. Like, oh, dude,
He needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
that's Joey Knuckles. Like, hey man, that guy right there is the reason that we get paid and we have a job.
Well, a classic example, another guy, and I
needs
asked
to
him
be
if
in
he
the Hall
would.
of Fame.
He needs to hold on. He needs to be. in
I
the
agree
Hall
with
of Fame.
that.
Like, I started the hashtag Joey Knuckles Hall of Fame. You know, like it. That
You know what's funny?
That needs to happen.
So Winston Kelly, y'all need him on the show?
That would be great.
Because Winston Kelly and my dad are really good friends, and I'm sure that if he knew what was going on here, he would love to be a part of this. Man, that's the man.
That'd be great.
You know, he's definitely he's the perfect guy for that job. He's the perfect guy for that job because he was internal friend of everybody. You know, not just a commentator. Everybody loved Winston Kelly. Everybody still loves Winston Kelly. But I mean, I know that as far as my dad was concerned, man, he was like, man, people have more respect for that guy than probably anybody. And to maintain a level of respect in this sport for that long is incredible.
Oh yeah,
You know. But anyways, that's awesome. Dude, this show is kick ass. Don't forget that.
Thanks for having me. Really, thank you.
Dude. Yeah, you're sitting.
I was about to say, Timmy,
Timmy.
you've got the top.
Oh, he's sitting up there, he's just sitting up there on top. You know how it is. King of the hill, and everybody's sort of up down there licking their wounds.
Well, the
He's up
crazy
there
thing
just-
is, I got people calling me.
Do you
No.
doubt the guy did not get
Not
the
a
poll?
bit.
Here's the thing.
I
man.
knew it going
I
into
got people
it.
calling me. They're like, "Dude, your story's like awesome." I started listening to it and couldn't stop. And I'm like, "What?" Like, yeah, on Young and Pruitt podcast.
Timmy's episode is the complete essence of what the show is.
It's the nitty gritty.
It's the real deal. So Timmy comes out and lays down a story, lays down where he is, how he's gotten there, who he is,
Right.
hitting you with all sorts of stuff that you couldn't even dig and find.
Right. And
It's been a crazy ride, man. It really has.
yeah, but Timmy's always got his shit together. Anytime you ever deal with him, actually, he's got his shit together so much that it intimidates other people. I love watching people work with him. You know, I never, I mean, from the time I met him, I was like, oh man, this is my people. You know, but I also watch other people just cringe, especially the people that think they know. It's like, watch this.
The text
Everybody
would
walk
say
into the
this.
Heisman, the trophy is like,
Well, I always wondered at RPM, he was always kind of like over by himself. It's like,
yeah,
it's like
I noticed that right out of the gate.
It's
I was
like, who's this guy over here?
and he actually worked.
Mad
over there.
scientist over here creating stuff. Like don't mind the guy behind the curtain.
And the bad thing is some of the stuff I did for them, they wouldn't run it. They were too scared to get caught with it. So there was some things that never even that were made and tested, and
Timmy
they
will
were
get you put
a
under the jail.
huge gain at the racetrack, and things got chickened out on. But that's another thing. But
It's expensive to have a Timmy. It's expensive. Think how expensive it can be to have that guy work for you.
But in closing, when you guys brought where my R&D area was at RPM, probably one of the coolest guests I had was Omarosa came in, and she wanted to check out that car, and she was laying down on the floor, and what does this do, and what does that do? And I didn't know who she was, and when I looked her up, and I'd seen her on The View, and she was pretty articulate, and I would have loved to have more of a conversation with
I
her
was
for
in
sure.
love.
Yeah,
I mean, think about it.
I don't think she'd ever been around guys that could build
don't
stuff.
you remember she said, what'd she say? She goes, I hadn't been around a bunch of men like this in a long time. It goes back to what you were saying. I'm sure the world they live in. And you know who else?
Billy
you know what's
Baker and
funny?
dick pics.
That whole crowd was genuinely nice.
Yeah.
You know who I was impressed with was a little short girl that ran the campaign.
Yeah.
The I can't remember her name, but she was a badass.
And then even
she was
still,
super nice.
a few weeks after that, you got Bad Company's Band and Road guys and Joe Walsh's Band and Road guys come through, and they're equally as blown away by what you do. Now, so I don't know if it's an artist-to-artist thing, but everybody I've ever met in a band, whether it was Sully Erna from Godsmack or any of them,
they like racing. All those musicians do like racing. It's sort of funny that they like that.
Three Doors Down, Smash Mouth. Anytime them guys were at the racetrack and you meet them, and even Billy Lane from Choppers Inc., motorcycle builder from Melbourne, Florida, which he's in Daytona now, but, he's used to working on parts that are only like 1.5 feet long. And, we've got a one-piece side on a Speedway car that goes from the center of the front tire to the center of the rear tire. And he's like, how do you even hold that thing up? It's just, there's
Get a sacrificial lamb on the other end ready to cuss him out and ruin your whole day.
Yeah. So it's just, you meet all kinds, and there's a ton of mutual respect in the business for sure, as far as artistry goes.
That's why I like it, man. That's what's good about this show, though. Honestly, you can go down to it. It's man, it's nothing scripted. It's a real fucking deal.
You will not find
And
a more real product in this industry.
Hey, and honestly,
I guarantee you that.
And I can say this because man, from what racing needs this. This is what's missing from stock car racing, as far as along with a couple other things that are like logistical stuff at racetracks. The dialogue has got to stop from the generic dialogue. I ran into Michael Waltrip at the barbecue joint, that Midwood, holy ridiculous barbecue.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about it, and we were just, he was just, he's a cool dude, man. They need, he's a cool dude. He's the real deal. Michael Waltrip's the real deal. It's sort of funny. Instead,
You
it's
think
just
he's Young and Pruitt material?
Man, I think, I definitely, yes. That's funny you say that. I thought about that when I didn't want to,
Michael,
because,
if you're listening, come on.
it's funny because he thought he thought I was my brother. I was like, hey, Michael, how you doing? He's sort of like, hey, and I'm sure he was thinking, God, Scott, you've let yourself go downhill. Because Scott was the pretty boy. He's like my brother's a little bit like Pruitt, always clean and sharp,
My beard stays permed.
I think he was sort of like, oh, that's the Zach one, yeah. But he was, man. But he's another. He's the real. You don't get much. That's what's nice about the show. It's always real. Every time I've listened to it, I'm like, wow, people really get to know who Lauren is. They knew who he is as far as what he's done and how the TV portrays him, but they don't have the time. But this is a great platform to actually really get to know what's really going on. Mm-hmm. That's not your typical other stuff that's out there, because everything else out there is what you're going to get. This is not. That's why I said, is this a racing show?
The independent, baby.
The independence. All right, fellas.
Wrap it.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up. If you are listening to this on iTunes or the website, youngandpruitt.com, if there is another way that you would like to hear this podcast, please let us know. Please go to youngandpruitt.com. All the other podcasts are going to be on there. Going to start working on some merchandise. Layla's blog is on there.
Big guest coming.
Yeah, we got some big guests coming. Not going to say any names because it's not going to happen until it happens. But December looks like it's going to be a pretty big month. Got a lot of shows packed in there right before Christmas.
2018 y'all's year. It's gonna be y'all's year.
It's going to be.
That's awesome.
Am I allowed to say that? Does that jinx it?
No, I don't think it does.
Y'all will be bankrupt. Everybody's gonna lose their jobs. Everybody's done. The whole thing's over. Just because that happens when I cut on the TV. If I cut on the TV and our car's running good, it's like bam right in the wall. I'm like, good Lord. It's almost like I think it's God set you up for that. I'm thinking it's just coincidence that it's me, and it's actually him saying, "Watch this. I'm gonna kick this guy in the butt one more time." Like,
That part that he's been working on for 2 weeks. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Thinking you're doing something? No, you're not busy enough.
it's now a wishbone.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. This is
So
great.
Where can they find us?
you can find me at JackmanZack on Twitter and Instagram. Timmy, do you have Twitter or Instagram?
No, I do not.
You do not.
I'm Dio Vindis on Instagram. Dio Vindis1. It doesn't,
And no Twitter?
It's Zach Hayes. No Twitter, but you can just type in Zach Hayes and it comes up as Dio Vindis1.
And
Tall Guy Turbo at Twitter. On Twitter.
he messed it up again.
I
always
fucking hate this part of the show.
He always messes it up.
Okay. You can find me at Tall Guy Turbo on Twitter and Instagram.
Perfect. And
No dick pics.
oh yeah. Well, now you're just gonna get them all.
And
You just
David
jinxed
and I are
yourself.
friends, so you can go through and
I was getting ready to press stop, and you just
All
jinxed
the light
yourself.
switch dicks are going to fucking show up because I made fun of the Dip Life sticker.
All right, guys.
God, that's funny.
See ya.
See ya.